And we have you for the next 3 hours. The phone number is 314-436-7900. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you would like to watch the show, you can listen to it on the Odyssey app, where you also get the podcast, and Cardinals baseball streams live on the Odyssey app as well when the season gets going. And we hope that you'll download it. Follow us on Twitter at ChrisAmyKMOX.
Time now for the top of the order. The top 3 stories everyone will be talking about.
Today is President's Day, and many of you have the day off work today. We will celebrate President's Day by talking about our least favorite presidents.
Woodrow Wilson?
That's all you ever do is talk about Woodrow Wilson.
Meanwhile, at Energizer Park, City SC will be banning all political viewpoint flags. So that includes Black Lives Matters flags and trans flags as always, or trans support flags. As always, we want to hear from you. 314-436-7900.
And the Billikens have done it again. They win again. They keep winning. They are now 24-1. And we will talk to Bob Ramsey during the Gas House Gang. That's 12:30 coming up. Also, you know what today is, Amy?
President's Day.
Well, yes, it is. Officially.
Well, it is the official, all the team.
That's
Everybody
right.
reports at
That's
spring
right.
training.
Spring training is officially fully underway. Position players who were not already there in camp working out today. So it's happening. Spring training is in full effect.
Quick note on that. Pretty much all the position players were there. So who would be a position player who wasn't there yet?
Maybe somebody coming from overseas. I don't know who wasn't there.
Someone who was sick, maybe?
I suppose. But
All right.
sometimes, you have visa issues or whatever. So it could be that. But yeah.
But they're there today on President's Day. Ranch, as you can see, as everyone in the St. Louis area can see, it's sunny. And
So
it's going to be
beautiful.
like 70 degrees today.
I know.
What a beautiful handful of days we've had recently.
You know what would have been really great?
What's that?
To have this weather on Saturday. It's just, it really is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people came down to the Mardi Gras celebration.
And I thought it would have been thousands.
Well, I'm sure it was more than hundreds.
That's just what the news people said
What news people?
on the radio. They said hundreds of people.
Because, I mean,
It had to have been thousands.
it had to have been thousands. And it wasn't hundreds. But it was, just, it's funny that for about a week or so leading up to Saturday, just great weather. Maybe a little cool. And then Saturday is the one day that it just poured all day. And then it's going to be nice. It was nice yesterday, nice today, nice for the rest of the week. How about that?
I know.
But anyway, Mardi Gras, good time. Got to experience the fun.
So
Got a little wet.
I did have a couple of friends send some pics from Mardi Gras. Everybody in the pictures looked like they were having a great time. They had ponchos and umbrellas.
Yeah.
And they were drinking and didn't really seem to care.
Usually when you're drinking, you don't care about anything going on around you.
Okay. This is purely anecdotal. And of course, I wasn't there and I'm not there. I wasn't there this year. But I did have a friend say that there have been no arrests in the past year or two at the St. Louis Mardi Gras. Again, this is anecdotal. This is just a friend talking to me about their experience. And their hypothesis is they think fewer people are just going there to get wasted. And a lot of people are just high first and then drinking also. But they're more high than they are drunk. And they think that's why there are fewer arrests.
So when you're high, you're just kind of, hey, man.
I think
don't
everybody
really
knows
care.
that.
You think so?
People who are high tend to be more chill than people who are angry drunk, right?
Unless you get that, the thing where you have really high anxiety or you get paranoid.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's true or not, but they felt like people were high at Mardi Gras and then were drinking to supplement it versus just blackout drinking.
Well, if this was you, let us know. 314-436-7900. Were you high or
yeah. Do you think people were high or
before
drunk?
you got blacked out? I don't think so.
That's why they think that's her argument for why it has been more well behaved. They feel like having gone every year for the past 2 decades or longer, that it has seemed to calm down a little bit.
Well-
Fewer arrests, so forth.
Just like last year, we again stopped by the party with the dogs. Remember, I told you about the dogs last year?
Oh, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson?
Yes. George Washington is, well, they're both a little long in the tooth. And G-Dub probably needs he needs a weight plan
Oh,
because George
no.
Washington he's getting up there.
He's a little porky.
He's heavy. But I think one of the dogs is blind and one is deaf.
Oh.
They're adorable.
But
and
they
then
work
have a
well
third.
together. They can help each other.
They have a third wiener dog who's the hind legs don't work. And so did I tell you this part?
In the wagon?
So
A wiener wagon?
Yes. The dog Sophie has won a costume contest multiple times because they dress it up like a hot dog cart. And they put its little hind legs and wheels, and there's a little hot dog cart.
Because it really needs the wheels.
Yes.
Oh.
Isn't it the most
So they have
adorable
Thomas
thing?
Jefferson, who is blind, George Washington, who is deaf,
I think that's
and
how it goes.
Sophie, who is in a little wagon for her
Mhm.
hind wheels because she is she's
paralyzed.
paralyzed.
It's sad, but those dogs are the cutest dogs.
And that they must be cute for you to say this
Uh-huh.
because you're not exactly the most sentimental towards dogs.
I love
good.
dogs.
Well, so was Sophie
You just can't bring the dog in the bed.
in the wiener race the week before in Mardi
I don't
Gras?
think so. Yeah, I don't
Is
think
she
they
disqualified
participated.
because she has wheels?
She has wheels. That's a great question. I don't know. It's seen as an unfair advantage.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
could be. She could be disqualified. We'll have to ask
Okay,
Bess
I'll find
McCoy
out.
next year if you can bring a dog who also is hitched to a wagon.
I'll find out.
Well, again, we want to hear your experience from Mardi Gras, St. Louis, 314-436-7900. In the meantime, Ranj, kind of interesting. Have you been watching the Olympics?
I have. Okay,
I
so
knew
I
it.
did
I
watch.
knew it.
No,
He's
no, no.
gonna
Hold
hem
on.
and haw.
Hold on.
Him and
I
her.
watched some curling last night. And I know there's a curling scandal of some kind.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The Swedes accused the Canadians of double touching their stones.
Uh-huh.
They double touched the
You
stones.
do not double touch a stone.
I
Everybody
know.
knows this.
I know. And then the Canadian cussed them out.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And they were live mics.
They were live mics and the Canadian was cussing them out. And so the Canadians got a warning. And I did hear one Canadian say, listen, I know Canadians are known for being nice. And the thing is, you guys have been pushing us and pushing us. First, you wanted to annex us. And then there was the tariffs and all the rudeness that's been going on. So when some rando Swede accuses us of cheating, we lost it. That's what they said happened.
Man,
They
I
said
love
they've been pushed and pushed.
You tell me that a good curling scandal isn't exactly what this Winter Olympics needs.
Well,
Convince me otherwise, because I think it does need it.
well, apparently you can double touch the stone before a certain line, but you can't double touch
Yeah,
your
what it-
stones afterwards.
Everybody knows this. You
Yeah.
can't just be out here double touching stones without all
Right?
willy-nilly without rules. There are rules to this
Listen.
kind of thing.
Listen, I'm a rules lady.
I know you are.
I'm about law and order.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are out there double touching stones willy-nilly,
Do
you're
not-
going to pay for it.
Do not double touch stones.
Well, here's the thing. NBC released its local market ratings so far for the Winter Olympics in Milan, primarily like the primetime viewership. And can you guess? They're actually tied for first place with a 14.9 rating.
So we're
The two
talking
cities.
We're talking the cities that have the best local ratings for the Olympics in the entire
That's
country.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
I believe
You're never going to guess.
is Minneapolis involved?
How did you know that?
Well, it's cold weather. Kind of figured they would like it.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great guess. That's an educated guess.
Yeah.
They're tied for number one with Fort Myers, Florida,
Wouldn't have guessed that.
which our boss said is because of all the old people.
Oh, the
old-
snowbirds.
The old retired people and the
Okay.
snowbirds. So, yes, number 3, Milwaukee.
Okay.
Makes sense. Wisconsin.
Okay.
Number 4, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh?
Number 5, Dayton. Number 6, St. Louis.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
And so you have Cleveland, Kansas City, Detroit, Oklahoma City, Cincinnati. And then you have cities like Buffalo, New York, makes sense. Denver, Richmond, Virginia, West Palm Beach. That rounds out the top 15. I think the Midwest has a super strong showing, and I don't know if I'm surprised or not. I think I might be surprised by how so many of the top cities are Midwest cities.
So why would that be, do you think? Is it because we just don't have a whole lot to do right now in the winter? And so we're inside watching the winter games?
It could be that.
Well, St. Louis is a great sports city.
We are.
Oh, we keep telling ourselves that, and I think it's actually one of those things that's true. You know how a lot of people will take, they have some civic pride, and they say, well, this is the best city in the world for this, or the best city in the world for that, or just the best city in the world. I think we legitimately are a really great sports town and a supportive one.
So
that could have something to do with it?
So I agree. And here's the thing with St. Louis. When I say we have really good community, we do. And I don't think that is because I'm biased towards St. Louis. I think one reason why we have such great community, it's because it's the only thing we have in a lot of ways. So many people who live here are from here, have family ties here.
Right.
And we've said
not a whole lot of transplants.
We are right. No one living in Florida or California is like, when I retire, by golly, I'm packing up and moving to St. Louis, which is fine. That's okay. We don't have to be the sexiest city, and we're not. We don't have the mountains of Colorado. We're not California and everything that beautiful state has to offer. We don't have the beaches of Florida. We don't even have, New York and the bustle of Manhattan. And I get that. And I'm okay with that. And I think because of that, there are other elements that we lean into. And because so many St. Louisans are from here, we really do have really strong communities and a passion for the city. And I also think we love sports because it's what we do. We're kind of like the Ozarks is what a lot of St. Louisans do. Because again, we're not Florida. We're not California. I think our passion for sports, I think we have a legit contention or a legit case that we outpunch our weight class.
That's why, and when we talk about the Cardinals going through the issues they are now, and hopefully are on a rebound here, and I think those of us who are seeing what the front office is doing and plans to do, it gives you a little bit of confidence that they're going to figure this thing out. That's why Cardinals fans, I think, deserve to have a good team on the field every year because they're supportive of it. Now, you could look at the attendance from the last couple of years and say, well, they're not showing up. People aren't showing up to games, but you got to give people a reason to go. What St. Louis has proven is if you give them the sports and you give them the good sports, they will come out and they will support it. They support the soccer team, and it hasn't been especially good the last year or two. It was really good the inaugural season, but the last couple of years have not been. But they still come out and support it. This is a really good... Look what they do with the Battlehawks. The city supports a football team that's not, all due respect to UFL. It's UFL. It's not the NFL. But you're still getting like 40,000 people to show up to games, which is far and away better than every other city in the UFL. So this is a town that will support sports if you give them something to root for, which is why the whole Rams thing is such a gut punch, because you got a guy telling the league that St. Louis can't support a football team, which is nonsense.
Yeah, nonsense. Hey, meanwhile, you brought up City SC. When we come back, City SC has banned political message flags. So that includes the trans flags, the Black Lives Matters flags, with exceptions only during Pride Night and Black History Month. We will discuss this next. And as always, we want to hear from you. 314-436-7900.
It's KMOX.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, this is Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst, certified financial planner, and the host of the Jill on Money podcast. With the new year upon us, there's no better time to take control of your financial life. And the Jill on Money podcast is here to help. It's your questions that make it possible for me to provide unconventional and, I hope, entertaining insights on your money, and more importantly, on your life. Follow and listen to Jill on Money wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at Amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Save big on everything for your next project. Now at Menards. Keep your home neat and organized with help from Dakota. Whether you need extra storage or want to add an accent to your living space, Menards has the shelving solutions for you. Dakota shelving comes in a variety of finishes to match your style. View our entire selection of Dakota shelf boards on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer for other great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Do you remember the kerfuffle last year when a fan that was wearing a Make America Great hat again? Wait, Make America Great Again.
A MAGA hat. He was wearing a MAGA hat.
Got ejected from a match.
I do remember.
So
they asked him to take it off. He refused. And then he caused the whole thing. And
filmed it, and it turned into a whole ordeal. And they were saying, well, you can't allow political messaging, and that means someone at the gate let him in. And listen, that's a lot. If you're just letting fans in and checking tickets, maybe they missed the hat. I don't know. I'm assuming he was wearing it through the gate. At any rate, it turned into a kerfuffle. So St. Louis City SC, and this is St. Louis City SC, told its biggest supporters and its supporter groups this week that in most circumstances, it is rescinding permission to fly certain flags and banners representing transgender and Black Lives Matter clauses, except for on Pride Night and then also the Black History Month. So there'll be some exceptions, but other than that, that will fall under political messaging.
There is a more, according to the stories, a more general Pride banner, which will be allowed. But not the specific messaging ones. And I guess you can make the argument that it's not really political to acknowledge that trans people exist and say, hey, you're welcome here. And it's a little bit different than wearing a political candidate's phrase, his hat.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little different. That is overtly political. A MAGA hat is a political statement because you're talking about a politician, right? So I guess you can make that argument, but I am perfectly fine. If you're going to say you're not going to be able to do or bring a pride flag or a trans flag or Black Lives Matter, which is a political flag too, because it's technically an organization.
And I think that's what it is.
It's not very centralized, but it is technically an organization
that has a very, very political mission statement on its website. They've changed it, I believe, over the years because it was, like dismantling, the system type statements.
But it's fine.
Pretty radical.
If you're going to do that, and fine, but you also have to say no MAGA hats in here either.
Yes.
So if
Which
that's the way they want to do
kicked
it,
the guy out.
Yeah. All right. This one doesn't, and I know that some of the supporters are really upset about it, and I get that.
Because it was rescinded permission.
Right, because they were given permission initially, and then obviously now they feel like they've been, they are now taking that back, which is I get that. That does make a lot of sense to me, but I'm also okay with making the entire building absent of anything that seems political. I'm fine with that too.
And as we mentioned, they are making exceptions for Pride Night, September 19th, Black History Month, which...
And they still should do a Pride Night.
The regular season
absolutely should.
Is February 21st. And I can see how they do want to step away from political messaging. I mean, it's such a tumultuous, intense climate right now surrounding political issues. And as we said, Black Lives Matters, when you have that flag and it's the one of the organization is very, very political. So you can agree with the sentiment, of course, but if it seems to be promoting that organization, then that could be considered political. With the same with the transgender flags, that can be considered political because in a lot of political arenas, whether it's city, state, federal politics, in the NCAA and sports, we're still working out the issue of transgender athletes in sports. It is political right now because they're still figuring it out. So that could be considered a political flag, very much so, in the same way that a pro-life or pro-choice message is very political. It's a political issue that's being debated at the state level. It's being debated at the national level. And so they're just saying, we're not going to step into any of these issues.
Still, to me, is not this. And I understand where the frustration lies. And I think that makes sense why some of the supporters are frustrated by this because they thought they had permission and now they don't. So I totally get that. I also get the idea of just saying, look, we're not even going to go down that road at all in this building. City SC is still about the most inclusive professional sports franchise that we have in the city, in St. Louis, right? And MLS is kind of, I would say, of all the professional leagues in the country, they might be the most inclusive. So, look, I think, yes, I understand the frustration, but overall, the team, the league do pretty well at acknowledging some of the more marginalized groups.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not perfect, but it's something. And I think that's okay. That's okay that they're still inclusive in that way. I don't think it has to be that they have to approve all of these different flags in the building. That's not necessary. But it is okay that they are still a team that really does acknowledge some of these groups that maybe feel like they don't belong everywhere. I think they've done pretty well at that since they've been an organization here.
Yeah, and it's like any conversation, you have to have meaningful distinctions and serious discussions. And it's not as simple as saying sports is political or sports isn't political. Well, what do you mean by sports? Obviously, players are making statements and have been asked questions by the media. But then at the same time, while sports, yes, is very political, it is within a franchise right to say at some point we got to kind of draw a line on the flags because I don't think any of us would want to see them lift the holds all together and say any flag you want to bring in, and it would just be exhausting to see all the political flags, right? So there's a fine line, but like you said, the franchise is saying no political flags, but here's our exception for Pride Night, for Black History Month. Then that's the day that we all honor those causes respectively.
And I think, look, there have been teams that have said, well, we're just not doing a Pride Night at all this year. That to me is a little offensive. There's nothing wrong with doing a Pride Night, and for people who get upset because there is a Pride Night, forget them. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's not for you. If you're going to get upset with it, just don't go. Don't go. Don't watch the game. If you're going to be, if you're going to react like that, I think it is perfectly okay to continue to have Pride Nights, and City is going to do that.
Do you think it's okay for franchises to just have no nights? You know what I mean? Like you can have Snoopy Night, like where you're like, that's our theme night, but they just don't have any nights at all like that.
If you've had them, I think you should continue to have them. And I think it's okay for teams that don't do them to do them. You know, in fact, they probably should. There's nothing wrong with it. You're being inclusive, and you're telling that group of people that, yes, they're welcome in the building. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Chris and Amy on KMOX, you can tell us what you think. 314-436-7900. You've got 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Your ride home just got a lot less of this and a lot more of this.
The 3-2 pitch with the runner going, a swing and a high fly ball. Deep left field, and it's a gunner.
Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz. 3 voices, 1 hour, all Cardinals. From roster battles in Jupiter to pennant races in St. Louis, the Redbird Rush Hour delivers. The Redbird Rush Hour, weeknights at 5 on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Are you turning 65 or new to Medicare? Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Well, it's Ranji's favorite kind of weather. The high today, 68, sunny and warm. Right now, 47. We'll be warming up throughout the day. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low of 43.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164. 800-390-1164.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first at Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be the first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardie and Pella replacement windows specialist. And now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or check them out on the web at bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
Jefferson Starship, the Runaway Again Tour. Saturday, September 26th, the Family Arena. Also featuring Atlanta Rhythm Section, Firefall, and Orleans. Reserve seats on sale now at the Carol House Furniture box office at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Jefferson Starship, featuring Atlanta Rhythm Section, Firefall, and Orleans.
Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. Oh, but some girls do. And Lone Star. Every little thing that you do. Maybe I'm a live Saturday, March 14th, the Family Arena. Get tickets now at the Carol House Furniture box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Sawyer Brown and Lone Star together live.
Rush Hour Sports, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here.
Bernie Miklasz joins Rush Hour Sports tonight at 5 on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
314-436-7900 to bring your thoughts to the show. We like your text messages and phone calls. And what's so funny?
You had a little bit of the vibe of, I'm glad you're here.
Oh, the guy was very happy that Caitlin Clark was in Indy. Also the Odyssey app where you can leave us voice messages, record them, and send them. This text message here says BLM is a fraudulent organization, not the term, but the leadership itself. And I don't know enough about the leadership of it, but it doesn't really seem to be that centralized of an organization. I mean, they got a website, but I don't know that these local chapters are reporting back to some national leadership. It doesn't really seem to work that way.
I would probably disagree and say
then who's reporting to the leadership?
Well, what I'm saying is the leadership, both nationally, they had some, like I said, pretty subversive, I would say kind of anti-American statements on their main website. And then locally, whether it's the St. Louis chapter or the Chicago chapter, for instance, the Chicago chapter had a little bit of pushback, like the day of October 7th, the massacre when the Hamas, the terrorist organization, attacked all the Israelis and killed over 1,000 people in a brutal massacre. The Chicago Black Lives Matter posted what they called freedom fighters, and it was the Hamas terrorists. It was an image of them parachuting in. So kind of like supporting that moment in October 7th, which faced a lot of backlash. So that could be the Chicago chapter. So I think there is some leadership
right, so
issues.
that wasn't a nationalized. What I'm saying is it's not a nationalized movement where they're all sort of in lockstep with one another.
But I think if you can point to certain things in the national leadership and then in local chapters and go, wow, this is pretty messed up, you can have issues with the organization that's who the leadership tends to draw. But again, that's why the flag, if it's the organization itself, is political. Going back to what we said about St. Louis being a community, because we don't have anything else, because we're not sexy, if you know what I mean. But we had a texter say, my husband and I live in Colorado and have a, quote, vacation home in St. Louis. We sold our cabin in the mountains in time to miss the forest fire. Good purchase. So I asked them if they are from St. Louis, waiting to hear back, because that would be very interesting if they're from Colorado and bought a house in St. Louis.
Well,
that would be very unique.
I do love the idea of a vacation home in St. Louis.
Because I know if you're from St. Louis.
This isn't really the kind of place you go to vacation.
Maybe a quick trip to go to the Arch, right?
Okay.
Ranch, come on.
Okay.
Work with me here.
I look, man, I love St. Louis, but there ain't nobody who's like, we need to go on vacation. Let's go there for a weekend.
But they do for the Arch. I disagree.
Okay.
People say we got to
on
go
a road trip, maybe.
We need to go
We'll stop
the
in
Arch.
St. Louis, see that arch on the way to somewhere else.
Well, anyway, I want to hear from this couple in Colorado because I do know people who move away but keep a place here. I don't know anyone who's not from here who bought a place here, which we need to put them on an advertisement.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know if you saw 60 Minutes last night, but we've had the conversation about ultra processed foods. We spoke with Washington Post reporters about it. There was also the more recent comprehensive style story that declared definitively that ultra processed foods are damaging and killing every single organ in your body. Well, 60 Minutes did a special last night on ultra processed foods, and former FDA head David Kessler said that human biology, was never intended to eat and consumed these processed foods. And 60 Minutes said the two men leading the change on ultra processed foods are two men who disagree on pretty much everything else in the entire world of public health. And that would be HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Dr. David Kessler, the former commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now, I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is insane and also a pretty evil person when you read about his life and his dalliances and how he had so many affairs on his previous wife that she killed herself. And then, of course, there was the bear, or what did he behead?
Oh, yeah, and he put on the roof of the car. I
Yeah,
forgot
it's
what
very
it was.
weird.
It might have been a bear.
And snorting cocaine off of toilet seats,
Yeah.
which he recently talked about.
He's in charge of our health, by
Yes,
the way.
he is a bad guy. But I'm going to say I agree about ultra processed foods, and so does Dr. David Kessler,
Blind squirrel, man.
the former commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. And I just want to say this before we get to our audio. So both men have found common ground on what they say is the common culprit, and that's the 67-year-old government classification for substances in our food called GRAS, G-R-A-S, generally recognized as safe. And they said it has allowed big food companies to use insane ingredients without a full government safety review. So a lot of good clips from the 60 Minutes special, including this.
They took starch, right? Those cheap, easy calories, and they converted those into a whole panoply of ingredients that it was able to reassemble. And those products are so rapidly absorbed in our system that they cause metabolic havoc. They target the brain reward circuits to keep us coming back for more. They trigger overeating. They deprive us of any sense of fullness.
What we all call empty calories.
Those calories are not just empty, they're ending up in your liver. And that fat in your liver is going to migrate into other organs, and it's the cause of cardiometabolic disease.
Kessler, a pediatrician, filed his petition with the FDA after zeroing in on GRAS ingredients listed in plain sight on the backs of packaged foods.
Pick up any one of these products. You ever look at the ingredient label?
A lot of them are things I can't even pronounce.
Right. Is that food? Corn syrup, corn solids, maltodextrin, dextrose, xylose, high fructose corn syrup. And then these ingredients were subjected to industrial processing so that our system can't handle it.
We will act on David Kessler's petition, and the questions that he's asking are questions that FDA should have been asking a long, long time ago.
So the voices you've heard, of course, Bill Whitaker, 60 Minutes, David Kessler, and then at the end there, RFK Jr. And Bill Whitaker asked Dr. Kessler, quote, in terms of a public health crisis, how does this compare with tobacco? Dr. Kessler said, it's as large, if not larger. And Bill Whitaker, it's that significant? And here's what he said, Dr. Kessler. The scale of this affects everybody. Understand, not everybody smoked, but look at the number of people who consume ultra-processed foods.
It's everywhere.
It touches all of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
it consumes the majority of our calories are ultra-processed foods.
Yeah. I mean, this is one thing, and you're right. I make fun of RFK a lot because I don't think he's a serious person, but he does happen to be right about this. This is, I mean, it shouldn't be hard to be right about this because it stands to reason that all of these food products that are everywhere in our lives, they're pervasive. Of course, it's affecting us in a negative way, but it's very difficult to fight the food lobby because they've got a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of backing. They have a lot of lobbyists.
It's soybeans.
corn, yes.
It's a lot of farm, which sounds good. But as Bill Whitaker pointed out in this piece, when we talk about corn, that sounds great. This isn't even edible corn. He said it would break your teeth if you tried to eat the corn that we're talking about here with corn and soybeans. This is stuff that's ground up and turned into ultra-processed junk.
So I don't know what could happen here reasonably, but it's everywhere. And then you can say, well, as a consumer, you should just take it upon yourself to be smarter and make better choices. And that's great and everything, but it just doesn't, on a large scale, that doesn't work. On a large scale, when you have put that food out into the market and it is everywhere, it's in everything you touch almost, unless you are just getting whole foods and vegetables and that kind of thing, which is fine, but it's also really expensive to live that way too.
But even if it just says flour, our flour is different than flour in Europe.
Right.
You can do stuff to our flour.
Right.
It's very difficult. And the story pointed this out, which again, it's okay. I know America is not Europe. I get it. But we can learn from what they're experiencing.
Sure.
And in Europe, they have about 400 legal ingredients. 400, saying these are ingredients that count as food. But the FDA doesn't even know how many ingredients there are in American food. The estimates are between 4,000 and 10,000, but they don't know because of the loophole in grass, which is what they mentioned, generally regarded as safe. And there is something to be said for if you go to Europe, you can eat and not get sick and not get fat.
So you're coming around to my way of thinking. Regulation's good. We should regulate the hell out of this food.
The food is really, really concerning. I mean, it's difficult. And once you start pulling away from ultra processed foods, I think so many of us are sick, have IBS, gut problems, mental health problems, and a lot of it can stem from, I'm not saying everything, I get it. But I mean, when I eat junk, I do feel down. I mean, it can make you feel bad. When kids eat junk, they can't focus. So we're diagnosing them with all of these problems. Oh, they have ADHD. Oh, they have IBS, without saying, well, wait a minute. What are you feeding your system? Are you living on Doritos and soda? Or even things that look good, like Wheat Thins? That sounds healthy. It's a wheat cracker. Wheat Thins are literally banned in the EU because they're so processed.
That's Amy Markscore's I'm Chris Ranji. Feel free to join the show. 314-436-7900. Did you see this? Is next on KMOX.
Seems like this weather is going to continue. The cold weather is going to continue here in St. Louis and Illinois for the foreseeable future to finish out the winter. Now, if you have been unlucky or you don't want to wait till you're unlucky and you need your furnace fixed or even replaced, call me. We can get your furnace next day. Sometimes we, depending on the manufacturer, it's not us, but just depending on the manufacturer, if they have the parts available, and here in St. Louis or Illinois, we can get you that day. But either way, if you're having problems with your furnace or you want to prevent problems with your furnace, call me, Bart Inman. One easy number, the easiest number in Missouri and Illinois, just one number. That number is 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, it's Bart Inman. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Is your furnace on its last legs? Don't wait for a cold night to find out. Jerry Kelly and KMOX are giving you the chance to win a brand new furnace this winter season. Just go online to KMOX.com/contest through March 1st and nominate someone who you think deserves a brand new furnace. Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Win a brand new furnace. For more information and contest rules, just head to KMOX.com/contest.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX and the free Odyssey app. Now, did you see this? With Chris and Amy.
Well, Amy, you might remember that a number of prominent Republicans were not particularly happy with the Bad Bunny performance at the Super Bowl a couple of weeks ago, including Mark Alford.
What?
Who is, he is with the 4th Congressional District here in the state of Missouri. He went on Fox News and said that there had been a lot of information that had come out about the lyrics. Even though he does not speak Spanish and he has no idea what he's talking about.
You mean the translation?
Yeah. And also Randy Fine out of Florida. Same thing, said that the Bad Bunny performance was disgusting and illegal. Well, the FCC looked into it, Amy, and you'll be stunned to find out they found nothing wrong.
Was it a little sexy?
Yeah. But any of in the regular songs that were performed, there are some lyrics that would have been indecent over the air.
Mm-hmm.
Those lyrics were removed. So they did not make air. And this is according to the New York Post. Charles Gasparino, who is doing the reporting, that the FCC looked into it and they found nothing.
So the word is like information coming out about the lyrics, and the FCC looked into it.
He's saying
it's
that
not a
he's
secret.
saying,
He was singing in Spanish. I feel like it would be so easy for a lot of people to say, yeah, this is exactly what he said.
He's saying, Mark Alford is saying that he thinks you're too stupid to know the difference. That's what he's saying. He does not trust you to be smart enough to know the difference.
Illegal. I mean,
come on, guys. They're just mad. They're mad for some unknown reason that he was. Well, yeah, I think we know what the reason is. He's mad that Bad Bunny got the performance, and probably not some white dude. I think that's really what it just boils down to. We need to have someone
American there, like Chris Martin of Coldplay. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Or the Rolling Stones.
That's right.
Something American.
Anyway,
yeah. It's also not a secret. It's Spanish. It's not a code.
It's
he wasn't
very
speaking
easy.
in code. food.
Do Republicans not have anybody who speaks Spanish?
I guess
Who
not.
could just say, guys, there's nothing
What
here?
about no, I don't know. I feel like it's not that hard. They could probably fix it at any rate. Now, I just want to clarify for all the prudes out there. It was a little, it could be a little sexy for me, but there have been pretty much every performance is a little too sexy for me. Why don't we have a good old fashioned Quaker Super Bowl halftime show
Well, you can
with
have.
wooden shoes?
I was going to say that was the Turning Point show, but it was Kid Rock.
No,
so.
Kid Rock was singing about liking them young. Quote, some people call that statutory.
Uh-huh.
He calls it mandatory. At any rate,
That's your guy now.
yeah, okay.
You have to embrace him.
Me? Are you talking to me?
No, not you.
Okay. Sorry.
Them.
I thought you were pointing fingers at me. More bad news. You want to talk about un-American? Some breakfast places are getting rid of their free hotel breakfast.
What do you mean? Some breakfast, some hotels.
Places. So, some hotel places.
What are they doing this for?
With me?
What?
Hyatt
Why?
Place, a Hyatt Hotels brand, has eliminated free breakfast from dozens of properties last year. And Holiday Inn also recently scaled back its offerings to a buffet-only setup to save on labor and cut food waste. Now, I'm not saying that all hotels and like Holiday Inns or Hampton Inns are getting rid of complimentary breakfast. Oh, far from it. I want to say I'm a Hampton Inn connoisseur. I don't want to brag, but things are going well for me. And I have stayed at the Hampton Inn in Topeka, Kansas. I have stayed at the Hampton Inn in Colby, Kansas, among other Hampton Inns.
Uh-huh.
Huge fan. If they want to advertise with me, that'd be great. But they still have free breakfasts. But apparently, especially for more boutique or small hotels, it can cost 5 to 7% of total revenue for the hotel to offer free breakfast in the morning. But I'm telling you, that's a big reason why a lot of people book certain hotels. I love
for the
Holiday,
free breakfast?
Yes, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn. You make a bowl of oatmeal, you get your cereal, maybe some eggs and bacon. That's what I had in Topeka, at the Hampton Inn in Topeka.
Well,
Wouldn't you be sad if they got rid of that?
Well, of course I'd be sad about it.
Would you cry?
No.
A little?
No.
Would you feel like it?
No, just go somewhere else.
Well,
We'll go find breakfast somewhere else.
again, this is just Hyatt Place. They eliminated from dozens of properties. But again, we should probably just really thank our local free hotel breakfast people. for that.
Amy, did you see before we hit the break here, did you see that Representative Daniel Didich out of Illinois has proposed that the Illinois drunk driving rule, the 0.08, we've known 0.08,
Yeah.
which is the BAC level.
Yeah.
He wants to reduce it to 0.05.
Oh. How
So
much is that?
He wants to make it,
Is that like one drink?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
He wants to make it more strict or
Yeah.
stricter
Yeah. stricter.
to drink and drive in the state of Illinois. So this is a proposal, House Bill 4333. I don't
right.
think a lot of people are going to like that.
Not in St. Louis. Not in
No,
St. Louis.
this is in Illinois only.
Okay. As we say goodbye, I want to read this 314. The far right didn't like Bad Bunny's performance because it was in Spanish, but the Epstein files are in English and they don't understand that either.
Well, it's too redacted. It's tough to read when it's too redacted. Hey, it is President's Day,
Yes.
We should celebrate the presidents. And why not talk to Professor of History and American Culture Studies at Wash U, Peter Castor. He is with us in studio next on KMOX.
Mozart's The Magic Flute comes to life in concert with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Under the baton of music director Stefan Deneve, hear one of Mozart's most brilliant scores performed in all its richness, with the St. Louis Symphony Chorus and St. Louis Children's Choirs bringing its unforgettable characters to life. February 20th and 22nd at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Universal Windows Direct. Hopefully after 25 years together, you trust me that I only represent good companies. Universal Windows Direct is great. They have a great deal for the DGS audience. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. 0% interest for 36 months so you can spread out your payments, same as cash. Also, $500 off your home improvement project. 314-334-2522 or visit universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is Joe Cordell of of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. CordellCordell.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
At Graybar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Graybar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Graybar does that.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spreadsheets, clunky software, 100 different logins just to run your business? Ah.
There's a better way. Odoo. One simple, connected platform that handles sales, inventory, accounting, and more, so you can focus on growing, not juggling. Make the switch today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood, the voice of St. Louis.
We have sunshine, a few clouds moving into downtown St. Louis. It's 10:01 and 49 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey. A President's Day ceremony took place this morning in Lafayette Square around the bronze statue of George Washington at Kern Lakeside Pavilion in Lafayette Park. Starting now until noon, religious leaders from across the St. Louis region invite people to join them on the Martin Luther King Bridge to raise a moral voice and solidarity with immigrants. Organizers say signs are welcome, but must include messages of hope, peace, and love. They say no negativity will be allowed. It's the third day of a partial government shutdown while Democrats and Republicans are divided over funding for the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration Enforcement. The White House has been negotiating with Democrats on ICE reforms. Here's CBS's Willie James Inman.
Demands from Democrats remain for ICE agents, immigration agents, to remove their face coverings to show ID. And that in particular is something that Tom Homan says is already being done. He claims that these officers are already showing identification. So we'll have to wait and see in terms of how these negotiations happen and how they take place in terms of coming to a deal. But Congress remains on recess for at least this week.
For about a decade, Charles Lindbergh was the most famous man in the world, but grandson Eric Lindbergh says his grandmother was an equal partner.
She became a pilot, the first female licensed glider pilot in the United States, and a co-pilot on those survey flights for Pan American Airways. She was a radio operator. I mean, she was essential crew, and she wrote North to the Orient and Listen to the Wind, these two books that were bestsellers.
The Lindbergh Foundation, which moved to St. Louis in 2024, will celebrate the remarkable life of Anne Morrow Lindbergh at their gala in May. Next year is the 100th anniversary of Charles Lindbergh crossing the Atlantic in the spirit of St. Louis. From the KMOX business desk, dozens of references to St. Louis Airport revealed in recent releases of the Epstein files. The Post-Dispatch reports references to maintenance on the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft, including 2 invoices for more than $200,000 worth of work on his private jet from 2011, took place at Jet Aviation St. Louis, which changed its name from to Midwest Aviation that same year. It's not the first time the city has been mentioned in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. In a federal lawsuit from 2009, the late Virginia Giuffre accused Epstein of transporting her across state lines to sexually abuse her as a minor, and she cited St. Louis as a pit stop during those trips.
Sunshine mixing with clouds and turning noticeably warmer this afternoon, high 69, then partly cloudy tonight, low 45. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy but breezy and very mild in the afternoon, high 65. For Wednesday, clouds give way to increasing amounts of sunshine, breezy and unseasonably warm, with a high near the record of 74 set in 1971. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, it is mostly sunny and 49 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
The Chris and Amy Show is video streaming now on KMOX's YouTube, X, and Facebook pages. Click and subscribe.
It is President's Day today, which happens to be this show's favorite holiday.
Right up there with Three Flags.
Oh, I love
And
Three
Christmas.
Flags Day.
I
And
do
Christmas
love
is pretty
Christmas.
cool, too. Chris and Amy on KMOX, hour 2 of 3, Gas House Gang at 12. And we'll talk baseball and Billikens basketball. And we'll talk some hockey with Amy. She'll stick around for that. But right now we are joined by Professor of History and American Culture Studies at WashU, Peter Castor, who is a friend of the show, and he loves President's Day.
I do. I love President's Day.
Why do you love President's Day so much?
I love President's Day because it actually gets people thinking about who their presidents were and what they can learn from them. And yes, I like it because friends of mine get the day off from work. I do not. WashU classes are still in operation today.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Hey, same for us. We're here persevering.
That's
Through a
right.
holiday.
Well, and President's Day initially was Washington's birthday.
That's right.
So how did that change come about?
Right. So the holiday for Washington's birthday was established in 1879, and that actually remained the case until I believe 1980. Correct me if I'm wrong on that date. And two things happened along the way. There were a lot of local celebrations of Abraham Lincoln. And so in some states, it's still called Washington and Lincoln's birthday. And technically, legally, it's still Washington's birthday. But by the 1980s, it was being referred to as President's Day, not just as a way of honoring every president, because every former president wants to be honored, but it was really a way to get Americans to think about the institution of the presidency, what it's there for, what it means. It was started with Washington because at that time, people said Washington was the best president to teach Americans about what a president should be. And now we do that more generally by making it all presidents.
So what sorts of lessons do you think we should be taking from his presidency, from Lincoln's presidency, and some of the better presidents we've had?
So if we lump a bunch of presidents together, the ones we often most admire, it's first of all, we admire them for their wisdom. They often made the right decision in difficult moments, but also crucially, the notion of service to country, humility, caring for others. What people focused on, though, with George Washington that was unique to him was, first and foremost, establishing the notion that a president would surrender power, establishing the notion that the president wouldn't have some vaunted title, but he's the one who said, just call me Mr. President. He had this military uniform, of course, because he'd been commander-in-chief of U.S. troops. But when he became president, he wore a simple black suit. All of these decisions he made are what people said were the virtues of George Washington, that he had said, we will have a president who governs, but is responsive to the people, and not a president who aspires to be a king, who aspires to enrich himself, who aspires to remain in office forever.
About that, his humility and stepping down, saying, he wasn't going to become a king or stay in office forever. Weren't there a lot of people who were more than willing to let him stay in office? Like they wanted him to stay in office longer, and he's the one that said no?
That's absolutely true. So in 1792, at the end of his first term, he planned to retire then. And it was partly because he found the job exhausting. It was stressing him out. I mean, George Washington had an ego. Let's be clear. But he wanted to leave office. He always worried, in fact, about his own ambitions. He was afraid that it could get the better of him, but he wanted to return to Mount Vernon. He was a very successful businessman. He wanted to go back to his business. And there were people around him who said, no, 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 you need to run again. There's really no one else who can do this. The country depends on you. One of the people who did that was Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson wrote to him repeatedly, said, we need you. And then Washington runs again, gets reelected. He's the only president to win the unanimous vote of the Electoral College. And he gets reelected in 1792. And within weeks, Thomas Jefferson, who was his Secretary of State, said, that's great, and I'm out. And Jefferson planned to leave office, planned to resign. And Washington was pretty resentful about that. Now, by the end of his second term, Washington had made clear that he would only serve 2 terms. And some of the support for him was beginning to wane. There were members of Congress who were questioning what he was doing, questioning what his cabinet was doing. And, earlier, he would not have said this job is stressing me out. He would have described it differently. But those pressures were really getting to him by 1795 and 96. So he was really eager to retire, return to his plantation. But what many people don't know is he didn't fully retire. In 1798, it looked like the U.S. was going to go to war with France, and Washington put on his uniform again. He was asked to return to his role as commanding general of the U.S. Army, and he did that for a little over a year. He then left again, retired again, and died later in the year in 1799.
It is a thing that recent presidents, those where we have photographic evidence of them, their first year in office, they look young and vibrant. And then by the time they get to the final year, if it's 4 or 8 years, whatever it is, they're gray. Obama was one of those, and George Bush before him. Noticeable difference between year 1 and year 8 for both of them. Do we have any sort of reports or evidence of that happening with earlier presidents where there weren't photographs of them? Because we know that they have paintings done,
Right.
portraits done,
Right.
not the same thing.
No, and the portraits all aim to be very flattering.
Yes, right.
So the job takes a toll. Every president says that. It takes a toll on the president and on the president's family. So that's clear. We know that happened to other presidents. The thing that's always difficult is if we think about the age at which people get elected president, 8 years later, they look older.
Yeah.
In our own recent history before, so Donald Trump and Joe Biden, they were older men when they got elected. But if we think about Clinton, Bush, Obama, these were men in middle age, and they go from middle age to late middle age. That's when a lot of hair graying happens. That's when a lot of wrinkles start to appear. I say from personal experience. And so there is part of that, but we know that the job takes a toll on people. One thing I would add is George W. Bush commented that he might have been in better physical condition by the end of his presidency. And part of that is because presidents now have such a sort of extraordinary bubble of medical care around them. They've got all these people around them who make sure they're eating what they're supposed to, that they're exercising, that they're getting constant medical checks and medical treatment, that even as the job takes a toll, there are far more resources to mitigate against that now. Presidents at the time of George Washington did not have that benefit, and the job really did a number on them.
I can imagine. So speaking of presidents in the time of George Washington, and you can break this down into watershed administrations, or maybe there aren't those. But how different does the practical functioning of the executive office in the time of Washington, how does that look different from today?
So that's a big question. Yeah, we don't have enough time for that. I actually do want to start with continuities, which is that all presidents have felt the burden of the office upon them. And what I would say is that even though the government now is in some ways fundamentally different scale, and the ways presidents communicate with the world around them has changed, what I would say is that the factors that affect what a president does and how a president succeeds are relatively unchanged. What resources do they have available to them? What forms of communication do they have that are available to them? So the fourth president, James Madison, is a case in point. So in 1812, he pushes for a war against Great Britain in order to solve some diplomatic disputes. And that was partly because he, in the run up to that, didn't have the resources to apply pressure on Great Britain. The other thing that reflects how communication operated at that time is that the British government had actually rescinded some of the most egregious commercial policies, but the ship transporting that to the United States took the normal amount of time, about a month to cross the Atlantic. So there's no phone call. And so the ability of presidents to do their job, it's partly their own skills, but it's also what government resources do they have? How do they communicate with the world around them? I often say there are three technologies: transportation, communication, and medicine, that really determine the experience and the capabilities of a president. And that was the case at the time of George Washington. It's the case now.
Professor of History and American Culture Studies at WashU, Peter Castor, is with us on this President's Day. And when we come back, we'll find out what George Washington's teeth were actually made from, because it wasn't wood, apparently. Peter Castor with us on KMOX.
Last year, we had 295 trials where we'd been offered a total of $90 million on all those cases. When the dust settled, we had recovered over $1.1 billion in verdicts and mid-trial settlements. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason. We won a lot, $30 billion and counting. The best part of all those wins is that it helps you when you hire us. All those wins allow us to let the insurance company know we mean business. And believe me, they know who we are. If you've been injured, Google Morgan & Morgan results. You're not bragging if it's a fact. 3 million people tried to hire us last year alone. That happened for a reason. Visit forthepeople.com and let's get started this minute. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-939-1441. 800-939-1441.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history. From moment to memory. Presenting the Barnyard Follies. Among those voices, Bill Wilkerson.
He fakes drop sets, looking, throwing upfield. It is.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
100 years, one legendary voice. We live KMOX's century of service. Classic audio, photos, videos, and more at KMOX100.com.
So George Washington's teeth, not wooden. We've got Peter Castor professor of history and American
Yeah.
culture studies at WashU, with us on this President's Day. We're learning about the presidents. So what was he using? Human teeth, right?
Right. But everyone asks about this. George Washington's teeth. What's up with that?
The most important aspect of George Washington.
Come on, it's what people want to know about him. And so let's begin with the fact that when George Washington went into the president's house, as it was called, when he became president and came to New York, which was the capital then, I think he had one of his original teeth left. And he was known as this remarkable physical specimen. He was tall, he was robust, he was physically strong, he was really remarkable, but he had lost his teeth very early. And he had a series of dentures created. And once seen, they can't be unseen because they're horrifying. They're a combination of there's metal in them. The teeth themselves weren't wood. They were human teeth. We don't know which humans they were. They were no doubt cadaver teeth. But those are what were used for dentures at that time. They must have been physically painful for him because they're not these slim objects, these form-fitting objects that people have now. Dentures are an amazing thing now, but we know they were painful for him. We know this was a source of discomfort and embarrassment for him.
And that's what he had for the entirety of his public life.
Now, his public life begins during the Revolution. He was already losing teeth at that time. These are more later, and I would not just in his term as president, but also in his private life immediately before. And at the Constitutional Convention, he was president of the Constitutional Convention.
One of the things that fascinates me about the presidency early on is that it was not so insulated from the public like it is now, because you have to have security. We've had the assassinations and the assassination attempts. So there is a bit of a wall between the president and the public now. And it's been that way for decades, but it kind of didn't used to be that way, right? You just walk right up to the president, like it was nothing.
Right. And after Washington left office, there are hundreds of people coming every year. They just sort of show up at Mount Vernon. And some of them are legitimate friends of his. They've arranged it in advance. Some are people who think they're his friends. And then other people just show up.
Yeah.
And that didn't just happen to him. So that was something that was profoundly different. But at the same time, presidents had much greater privacy in their private lives. If you think about it now, the areas of our lives where we think we should have the greatest privacy protections, our finances, our health, our intimate lives. For the last generation or two, Americans have come to conclude that they have a right to have access to that information about their presidents. And presidents themselves have responded. Presidents now put their private lives on public display for political purpose in ways that the founders never would have imagined. So John Kennedy was the first to do those. So even though presidents had far less insulation around them, there's no Secret Service, they nonetheless enjoyed a level of privacy that presidents and their families do not enjoy now. So I mentioned James Madison earlier. His stepson, Payne Todd, who was a tremendous disappointment to him, really struggled. But there's no coverage of that in the newspaper.
Yeah.
John Adams. So there's John Quincy Adams, who's a genius from day one. But then Adams, during his presidency, had a son who died of alcoholism. And the public in general did not know of that. There was no hounding of him. It was just a very, very different time. Washington himself, this is really tragic. So he had no children of his own, but when he married Martha Washington, she was a widow and she had 2 children, and he didn't legally adopt them, but became the father to them. And both of them predeceased him. His stepson pleaded to be able to join the army during the Revolution, and Washington finally consented and let him join his staff, and he did. And he became sick and died weeks before the Battle of Yorktown. And Washington was carrying that tragedy with him en route to his greatest victory. And that all precedes his presidency, but it's part of the legend. It's part of the reason why it's still Washington's birthday. That's it later becomes President's Day, but it gets called Washington's birthday for that reason. There are all those stories. The year he died, an author named Mason Locke Weems wrote a book called The Life of Washington. It's the template for all presidential biographies. And he said, Americans, they need to know that Washington was great from the start. And he just made up a story. He made up the story of the cherry tree. He made up the cherry tree myth, partly to show how Washington was honest from day one, but also to have a lesson for fathers and sons, that sons need to be honest and fathers need to forgive their sons when they make mistakes. And that's part of the way Washington as a person and presidents in general have become these lessons that Americans are supposed to use to learn about what their country should be and what American citizens should be.
Side note, I'm glad the cherry tree story is false because you kind of have to be psycho to chop down a cherry tree just for kicks. Don't you think so?
No, it's just a tree, man.
It's a
I heard
just a cherry tree.
I heard a stand-up comedian talk about this.
Really?
Yeah, said no one ever knows the next question, which is Washington's father asked, "Why did you chop down my cherry tree?"
Right?
To which Washington responded, "Because I wanted to destroy something that you love." Look, it's the comedian's name. I think is Hampton Yount.
That's really horrible.
I heard this in the car and I just burst out laughing.
That's such a great point. That is such a great
But
point.
Washington did not chop down his father's cherry
I'm
tree.
so glad. Well, okay, so Ranj brought up basically what we were saying is presidents used to be accessible in a way, like you could walk up to them, but their privacy was more protected than it is now. Presidents very inaccessible now, but their privacy is out there. Is it true about Teddy Roosevelt, how he would disappear for days at a time, sometimes into the wilderness, and everyone's like, we don't know where the president is?
So he would do that. John Quincy Adams would just, every day he was president, he would swim across the Potomac. He'd strip down naked, dive into the Potomac.
What?
And there was a guy there in a rowboat just in case he was in danger of drowning.
That's amazing.
But here's the thing I would emphasize. The most startling thing to me is Franklin Roosevelt would regularly go to Warm Springs, Georgia, to the rehabilitation center where he had first gone in hopes that it would cure the effects of his polio. It never did, but he really enjoyed going there. It was recuperative for him in a variety of ways. And when he took his last trip there, and he died there of stroke in 1945, there are one or two phones, 2 or 3 people with him. This is the president of the United States at the height of the largest war in world history. And he's almost completely inaccessible. It's really the Cold War that changed this. When government officials said we could face a crisis at any moment, the president must be connected and connectable at every moment. And this begins with when Harry Truman, Missouri's own Harry Truman, he'd often go to Florida. We don't think of him as a guy who loved Florida, but he did. He would go down there and he would just go to a house, but eventually a place was created for him on a Navy base so that he could be surrounded by advisors. He would have constant communication. It's really the creation of instantaneous communication and the development of the Cold War that led government leaders to conclude the president cannot be inaccessible. But before then, they often were. We know that many people know that the Secret Service is really created in the wake of the Lincoln assassination, but other presidents were assassinated. I actually think it's worthwhile for people to watch Death by Lightning.
It's really good.
It's really good on Netflix. It's
Michael Shannon's great.
He's terrific.
Yeah.
You emerge from it actually realizing James Garfield's far more interesting than you thought.
Yeah.
But one of the things it really captures is the way presidents always wind up in, kind of a fishbowl where everyone's looking at them once they get elected. But still, in the late 1800s, a president could do his own thing and was unprotected. He could be shot and assassinated in a train station.
Peter Castor, before we say goodbye, who's the worst president we've ever had? Go ahead. Don't worry about.
There are a couple.
Okay.
I always
no,
bring,
can
I
I
always
go with
bring
the
up-
easy. I'm going to go with the easy and most obvious ones. And I avoid any recent presidents because people have a lot of emotion about that. So let's put it this way. James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, Herbert Hoover, they stand the test of time as presidents. Most importantly, Hoover was really smart, but they made colossally bad decisions at critical moments. They also operated in certain political circumstances that made success kind of deeply challenging. But yeah, they remain great candidates for worst presidents ever.
Very good. Amy won't stop talking about Wilson. So I noticed you didn't name Woodrow Wilson
as one of the worst presidents. Nope. No, we'll have to talk about that.
Let's have a talk.
Thank you. School this woman, would you? Peter Castor, it's good to talk to you. We love having you come in. 3 Flags Day is coming up.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Professor of History and American Culture Studies at WashU, Peter Castor. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Matt Pauley will join us from spring training in Florida next.
Spring training is here, and Cardinals baseball is heating up in Jupiter as young talent and big expectations take the field. The Gas House Gang is talking Cardinals all day long. Tom Ackerman, Chris Ranji, Bernie Nicholas, smart takes, insightful analysis, real Redbird conversation, plus live reports from Camp Cardinals with Matt Pauley and Mike Claiborne. If it matters to Cards fans, it's on the Gas House Gang. Weekdays at noon on KMOX.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help. The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Turning 50 doesn't mean slowing down. It means getting smarter about your health. That's why we created Neovitin Men's 50 Plus Multivitamin. It's doctor formulated to support your energy, immune health, and overall vitality. Plus, it's made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients. Take control of your health with supplements you can trust. Look for Neovitin Men's 50 Plus at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, or online at neovitin.com. Neovitin, made for men who keep moving forward.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Currently, it is 54 degrees and beautiful outside Studio B. Sunny and warm today, a high of 68. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low of 43.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
The 2026 Home Expo is bigger and better than ever. Join the Home Builders and Remodelers Association for 3 days of inspiration with 175 plus booths, new features, and top local vendors. Enjoy free admission and free parking, hourly giveaways, live performances by local school groups, and even pet adoptions with Gateway Pet Guardians. One lucky winner will take home a red light therapy sauna from Aloha Pools and Spa, February 27th through March 1st at Belclair Fairgrounds. Details at hbrmea.org.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door. Let my friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. The work is guaranteed, and it's just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. No extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis since 1926, 100 years. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Jefferson Starship, the Runaway Again Tour. Saturday, September 26th, the Family Arena. Also featuring Atlanta Rhythm Section, Firefall, and Orleans. Reserve seats on sale now at the Carroll House Furniture Box Office at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Jefferson Starship, featuring Atlanta Rhythm Section, Firefall, and Orleans.
Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. Oh, but some girls do. And Lone Star. Every little thing that you do. Baby, I'm a live Saturday, March 14th, the Family Arena. Get tickets now at the Carroll House Furniture Box Office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Sawyer Brown and Lone Star together live.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. I'm in Jupiter, Florida, covering Cardinal spring training as the Redbirds get ready for a new season.
Listen for Matt's Reports Daily. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting and Happy Roof on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Yo, Paulie! Paulie's a great name. Yo, Paulie! What'd you do for Paulie? Anything? Me, Paulie! I was responsible!
Paulie, we're here because of you.
Chris and Amy on KMOX, and it is time to visit with Matt Pauley, who is our guy in Florida as the Cardinals. It's underway officially, the full squad workout happening now, and the Cardinals are getting ready for the 2026 season. Matt Pauley, how's it going down there?
It's going well. Thanks for having me as always.
Well, you're obligated contractually to be here. So
I am. I can still be nice about it.
Yeah, you can be nice about it.
It's Monday. I'm in a good mood on a Monday.
Let's
see how the week goes.
Matt's just here so he doesn't get fined.
Are you in a good mood because spring training is fully operational?
Yeah, like I just had a blast out there. And I post tweets to my videos to my Twitter if anybody wants to go to @MattPauley on air. I spent some time watching like some situational PFPs where pitchers are working on things, and the coach is saying, "Hey, runner on at first, one out. How do you handle it?" I watched a fair amount of time where guys were going pop-up drills all over the place. I think we have a pretty good idea of what the infield's going to look like. They had a starting infield group of Gorman at third, Wynn at short, Weatherhold at second, and Burleson at first. Those guys were doing a ton of ground ball work together. So today's the first day where all of that stuff is happening. We're going to get some live BPs starting in about 20 minutes or so. So the moment I get done with you guys, I'm going to book it back out to the backfields to watch that. So if you're a baseball nerd, today is the best baseball nerd day.
How does the team, there's so much uncertainty going into this year, but obviously every team's going into the season saying we're going to compete. How are the vibes right now in Jupiter?
They're really good. They are really good. I'm not just saying that. There seems to be, and you know what, most teams could probably say some version of this, but there seems to be a buy-in on what's going on. There seems to be excitement from a young group of players who feel like they can start to prove some people wrong. We'll see if they can or not. Those questions will start to get answered once one of 162 gets played. But right now, it's a very, very positive environment. Ali talks to us every day. Today, there was a lot of time spent on culture versus expectations. And one of Ali's big deals is that your culture doesn't change just based off your wins and losses. So it's good. It's a really good environment right now. And, guys are getting used to the new facility as well. And that adds a little pep to everybody's step as well, because it's so nice down here. So just there's really, and today Yadier Molina's here. Ozzie Smith is here. So people are excited about that as well.
Actually, to that point, with the players having buy-in, how much is Chaim Bloom just around talking to the players? Is that a dynamic that happens?
Chaim's around a lot. I don't see him talking to players a whole bunch. I think that doesn't mean that's not happening.
Right.
Just when we're around players, they're either on the field or they're in the clubhouse during the open media time. So that's probably not the appropriate time for all those conversations to be taking place. But Chaim is very, very visible. It seems like he is everywhere at every moment, which shouldn't be a surprise because he's a grinder and he's already accomplished a lot in his short time as president of baseball operations.
So you're talking about the new facilities, and we've done a lot of discussion of that on Gas House Gang and how important it is that the Cardinals on that level, whether it is structurally at the minor league level or just in facilities or wherever they're putting those investments, how important it actually is that they are catching up with other organizations around baseball. How much more do they have to go? How much farther do you think they've got to go to really catch up with other teams around the league, or have they done that pretty substantially already?
I think they've done it pretty substantially from a infrastructure, technology, data standpoint. Is there more stuff that you can add? Yes. And actually, that's one of the things about kind of them. If you want to use the word retrofit, the facility, they tried to do things where they are going to be able to install new technology no matter what the next group of technology comes in. I was talking to Chris Roycroft earlier today, and he spent the offseason in St. Louis. He was at a local baseball facility. I think he said it was a Performance. I don't know. It's probably the owner of that facility is listening right now, yelling at me, so wanting to, me mention their name. But he said how that facility had all this stuff that the Cardinals haven't had, and then he gets to spring and he's basically able to continue using the type of stuff that he was using in the offseason, and it really allows to analyze pitch shape and things like that. He specifically told me that his arm slot dropped last year. He was trying to get his arm slot back up. You change your arm slot, that's going to change your pitch shape a little bit, and you got to figure that out. And when you have computers that tell you what's going on and how a pitch is reacting to how you're throwing it, that just you skip a bunch of steps and are able to accomplish a lot right there. And those are the type of things that are going on now with the organization.
So guys, when they are coming down to the spring training facility and they can choose to work out wherever they want to during the off season, then go to a facility they're comfortable with somewhere in their hometown or whatever they want to do. But this is when the team kind of takes over with their programs, what they expect to have happen. How different, and I guess every player is different here, but how much does the team try to cater to what the player is used to doing as opposed to saying, well, this is what we want you to do. This is the way we want you to go about getting ready for the season?
Yeah, so it all starts going in the offseason because every single player receives, and this is not just big league players, every player in the organization receives a personalized player plan going into every offseason. Rob Cerfolio kind of leads the way on that, but then a Larry Day and Matt Pierpont, if you're a big league guy, the big league coaching staff, Dusty Blake, Brant Brown, if you're a hitter, they all kind of give their input on that. And then you use that to kind of dictate how the Cardinals would like you to go about your offseason. And then you come in and it just continues from there. So I understand the question you're asking, Ron, but I think it's kind of reverse of that. I think the Cardinals are more trying to give players a plan for the offseason, and that's what they want them to do. So once they get into this point where things are being dictated by the Cardinals, the idea would be that it's just a continuation of what they were already doing, if that makes sense.
So for this roster, we know what it is right now. And you mentioned the infield, what it's probably going to look like. And I suppose things can happen over the next several weeks and that could change. The Cardinals are still open to the idea of making an acquisition before the season starts. So potentially bringing in some outfield help, maybe that can hit from the right side. How likely do you think it is they bring in somebody else to camp within the next couple of weeks or just before the season even starts?
I think it's a 50-50 shot now. And if you would have asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have probably said like 90-10, 80-20. I think there's less of a chance now. Some of the guys that they were in on ended up signing with other teams, mostly because they are looking for somebody who can come in and really platoon as a right-handed bat to face lefties. And some of these guys they've been interested in want to be more everyday type players. So they've gone to somewhere else where they can get a little bit more playing time. Right now, the focus seems to be on guys like Thomas Ajayci and Jose Fermin working more in the outfield and those guys getting the first opportunity. They are not averse to bringing somebody in, but I really think at this point it's a 50-50 shot if it's going to happen. Derek Gould reported that there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest right now on either side with Randal Grichuk. He's somebody who does check a whole bunch of boxes, but that doesn't seem to be a thing now. That doesn't mean that's not a thing tomorrow. But I think they're going to let this thing play out at least for a little while here with Fermin and Sajasi in the outfield. And of course, they got to figure out the timeline on Lars Nootbaar, and he's the one player who's not in camp right now. So until that gets figured out, unless something just sort of falls into their lap, I would guess they're going to keep going down the path they're on right now.
Quick on Lars Nootbaar. Do we have a timeline for him?
Yeah, he should be here in the next few days. What's going on there is he's continuing to rehab through this heel thing that he had the surgery on both heels. Because this facility is brand new, they don't have every piece of equipment here yet. And one of those pieces of equipment is a rehab piece of equipment that Newt really needs to be able to go through his rehab. I think it's some sort of like weightless treadmill sort of deal. And they'll have it eventually. It's not here yet. So he has, like in the phase of rehab he's in right now, to complete this phase, he needs to use that equipment. That equipment is where he's at in Southern California. So they're going to continue to allow him there. Once he finishes this phase, he'll hop on a plane, he'll get to Jupiter, and he'll be here. They have not yet ruled him out for opening day. I'd be mildly surprised if he was available for opening day, but I don't think it's going to be a long, extended absence for Nootbaar.
Just want to quickly ask you about the Billikens, who won again. And it's been since right after Thanksgiving. That's the last time they've lost a game. In fact, the only time they've lost a game this season. They just keep doing it, Matt.
They do. And that was a fluke loss to Stanford. Now, to be fair, their win the day before against Santa Clara was kind of a fluke win. So those two kind of cancel each other out. But yeah, they're really good. When you play a Loyola Chicago like they did on Friday at their place, and Loyola's having a terrible season, you get really worried about that game because that's going to be one of the biggest games of the year for Loyola. Yeah. And it was not a trap game, and they didn't even play their best basketball, but they played good enough basketball, especially in the second half, to win. So really, really good there. Stuff's looking up for the old Billikens.
Yeah, Billikens will play tomorrow at Rhode Island. It's a 6:00 game, which means our pregame show, the broadcast, starts at 5:45 with Bob Ramsey, who happens to be on the Gas House Gang today at 12:30. You know who else is on the Gas House Gang today, Matt? That's right.
I think I am.
Yeah, you are.
I think I am.
Oh,
yeah, you are too.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Lots of.
This is basically the Gas House Gang now.
You made a big deal the other day about the Jerome Tang rant.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
About him losing his job today.
Yeah, he got. Sorry, your K-State's head basketball coach was relieved of his duties after saying the team didn't deserve to wear the uniform.
Thanks.
They are going to try. They're firing him for cause. They're going to try to get out from underneath the $19 million that they owe him, and they're pointing at that specific moment, saying that if you bring embarrassment upon the university, it's in his contract that is something that is a fireable offense. So they're trying to not pay him the $19 million that he is technically owed.
He's fighting it, obviously, or going to fight it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you bring embarrassment onto the university if you're the one pointing out that the players are actually embarrassing the university? Because that's all he did. That's all he said. He said these guys are embarrassing us.
Lawyers will be involved, and it will be quite the fight, unless they can just come together on some sort of settlement. But lawyers will be involved. Call the lawyers.
Isn't it fun to have a university going through a little drama?
Oh, yeah. Where's Brad? Maybe Jerome Tang could call Brad Young.
Oh, yeah. Brad Young can. Yeah,
He's good.
He'll take care of it. He'll make him a good chunk of money, too. Matt Pauley will talk to you just after 12 o'clock on the Gas House Gang, pal.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yo, Paulie, your sister's with me. I'll call you back later. See ya.
Gas House Gang at 12. Again, Matt Pauley right off the top, checking back in from spring training. We'll have Amy talking Olympic hockey at 12:15, and then Bob Ramsey at 12:30. It will be Tom Ackerman and me, Chris Ranji, on the Gas House Gang coming up in an hour and 12 minutes. Have you ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals? Well, guess what? This is your chance, courtesy of FanDuel. All you have to do is use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you'll be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. NBA Futures lets you lock in your pick for who you think will go all the way. It could be the championship. It could be the conference title, whatever you're feeling in the moment, bet that NBA future and use your profit boost. Visit FanDuel.com/Missouri, and you'll get started there. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or over and present in Missouri. No purchase necessary. Limit one entry. For Profit Boost token, opt-in required. Must apply Profit Boost token on select market. Restrictions apply. See full terms, including methods of entry, at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Drury Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Drury Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Every spring brings promises, and every spring delivers surprises. This year, the Cardinals are writing a new story, and there will be plenty of surprises. Matt Pauley is in Jupiter with inside access to Camp Cardinals.
Presented by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And Happy Roof. We always create happy endings.
From breakout performances to roster revelations, get reports throughout the day on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy place, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
At the UPS Store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Michael's Baths. Were you feeling a little embarrassed when the family came to visit for the holidays and all you could think about was your bathroom not quite being up to par? Now is the perfect time to plan ahead for a spring installation of a beautiful new bathroom. At Michael's Baths, we specialize in beautiful, safe bathroom remodels from tub to shower conversions to full renovations, including paint and electrical work. Call 636-775-0800 or go to michaelsbaths.com. Mike is a great guy, does great work. That's michaelsbaths.com.
The Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Tournament has been the showcase for buzzer beaters, madness, and championship glory. With nearly 5 decades of heart-racing excitement, it begins here at Enterprise Center. The 2026 State Farm MVC Tournament, presented by Credit Union One, Great Southern Bank, and SSM Health, tips off on March 5th through 8th. Celebrate 50 years of the Valley's postseason championship. Get your tickets now at archmadness.com.
Chris Ronchi, Amy Mark scores because life is too short for boring radio. 104.1 FM KMOX.
So yesterday, I was running with some buddies, and there is a woman that runs with us. She's 32, so not a baby.
Not born in the 90s.
Yeah, but young, but not a baby. And we were running through the Grove. Now, we left Forest Park. We run up through, Taylor to Tower Grove Ave and Boyle. And we're making our way to Manchester, and we pass Bob Gibson Avenue. One of those streets in the Grove is renamed after Bob Gibson. And she asked, "Who's Bob Gibson?"
What?
That's what I said. I said, "What?"
What do you mean? What do you mean? Who is Bob Gibson?
I didn't understand the question.
I don't. Okay. This woman, was she asking honestly?
Yes.
This was an earnest question.
And
she said, "Who is Bob Gibson?"
Born and raised here. Grew
So
up
born in 1994-ish, 94,
in
95.
in Kirkwood.
Okay.
Went to school in the state of Missouri, like one of the small, I can't remember, it's like Truman or Westminster, one of those, and has been in St. Louis for her whole life.
All right.
Asked who is Bob Gibson. And so I explained, I didn't say anything, like I didn't mock her or anything.
Why not?
Well, I was trying to be a good lady.
Why? There are some behaviors that are worthy of being mocked.
So I wanted to bring this up. And then earlier today, Tom Ackerman, he moseyed into the office, as he does. He said someone on Twitter had responded to a post and asked, "Who is Ozzie Smith?" Right? Asked about Ozzie Smith.
Oh, I thought that was somebody in person, but whatever.
No, it was on Twitter.
Okay.
A commenter. And I had the same reaction. What? I don't understand the question. And so that got us into this whole discussion about who's the most famous St. Louisan today who still lives in St. Louis. But also, we take for granted, if you live in St. Louis, I don't care if you're 2 years old. You know who Ozzie Smith is. You know who Bob Costas is. You know who Bob Gibson is. You know who Lou Brock is, right? That was weird timing with Bob Costas, but we were talking about that too. Basically, all these old Cardinals broadcasters like Bob Costas and Jack Buck. But are we at a time now where we are getting further removed from their careers at a time when people can isolate their entertainment more than ever? They live in bubbles. That we're going to have a generation of St. Louisans who don't know who these people are?
It's crazy. And it shouldn't be allowed. So
Your
I
idea
blame...
was punishment, right?
Yeah. I think if you, I don't care what age you are, if you are conscious, if you're over the age of 7, you should know who Bob Gibson is.
Yes.
If you grew up here, or Stan Musial, you should know these people. Ozzie Smith. Just because you didn't grow up watching them play doesn't mean you shouldn't know who they are. And we are getting to a point where we're in this generation of people who know less about the stuff that happened before they were born than probably any other time in history. It has to be.
Yeah.
We have access to all this information, and nobody knows anything that didn't happen directly to them. It is unacceptable, and it is your fault as a parent.
I know.
You should not allow it.
I know multiple families who have teenage kids. One teenager thinks they discovered Led Zeppelin. The other teenager thinks they discovered 50 Cent. Like, hey, Mom, Dad, have you heard of this? Like, I found this cool guy.
There's no excuse for not knowing. There's just staples that you should just know. It doesn't matter if you're 25 or if you're 45 or in this case 32. If you're 32, if you were born in the mid 90s,
right,
and you don't know who Bob Gibson is, your parents failed.
Throw them off the bridge.
That's what I said.
Into the river.
That's
and
what
then they swim back to shore.
That's
what you said.
What I said. Maybe the parents should be thrown off the bridge. Honestly,
the whole
I think
family.
that you should. If you don't know who Bob Gibson is, you grew up in St. Louis. If you don't know who that is, you should be taken to the Poplar Street, tossed into the water. If you make it back to shore, you can stay. If you don't, well, then that's what happens to you.
Jeez.
How do you? It's just, come on, parents, do better. Do better.
Unbelievable. I'm upset.
Andrew Egger, White House I know Andrew knows who Bob Gibson is.
He doesn't even live here anymore.
Yeah, he's from here, but I bet he knows. He is the White House correspondent for the Bulwark, and he's with us next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. Stewie, I think this is going to be a strange season for real estate. Just kind of feel it in my gut. What can people do apropos of their mortgage to put themselves in a better position to get that house?
You know what, Dave, that's a great question. There's a bidding wars that are going to happen this spring. You want to get the house. This is how you're going to make things better. Number one, we give you the power of the pre-approval letter. That means you can go into our portal and generate the letter and edit it for any amount you want up to the amount you're approved without without chasing the loan officer. Number 2, the Bagel loan. No closing costs, no title fees, no lender fees, no appraisal fees. It's a Bagel. Bagel looks like a zero, easy to remember. Add that money you would normally pay onto your bid and beat the other offers out. And you know what? The third thing is we can close fast. 10 days. They're going to look away at the other offers because most lenders take as much as 30 days to get done.
You can call or text Stewie at his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS 226715.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
Hi, it's Kevin Wheeler here with Gloria Lou of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Welcome back, Gloria. Now, for years now, you've been on KMOX helping families plan their next big move with your Guaranteed Sold program. So for those planning to sell their home this year, what's your best advice?
Thank you. My advice is simple. Do your homework before listing your home. Our market is stabilizing. Inventory is tightening and moving fast. In other words, the realtor you choose to sell your home really matters. That's why my sellers love my Guaranteed Sale program. I guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price and time frame, or I will buy it myself. I have thousands of buyers in my buyers in waiting database, so your home may already been sold before it's ever hit the market. Higher demand, more competition, and more money for your home.
Friends, if you want a realtor who will guarantee results, call the one that I trust. Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It's 11:01. We've got sunshine with a few clouds downtown. It's 53 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey. More than 1,000 immigration agents have left Minnesota's Twin Cities, and hundreds more will depart in the days ahead. White House border czar Tom Homan tells CBS's Face the Nation that a small security force will stay for a short period to protect remaining immigration agents. He didn't define small or short period. A Sunday night crash in Town and Country killed one Chesterfield teen and critically injured another.
The Missouri Highway Patrol says a 2018 Audi S4 heading westbound on Interstate 64 somehow overturned and slammed into a concrete median, then entered the eastbound lanes and hit a Jeep before landing off the roadway. Its driver, only identified as a 17-year-old Chesterfield male, suffered serious injuries and was taken to a hospital. Troopers say his passenger, an 18-year-old Chesterfield female, died from her injuries. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
Logan Paul set a new world record by selling a rare Pokemon trading card for a staggering $16.5 million. Guinness World Records confirming it as the highest auction price for any trading card. Paul bought it in 2021 for just over $5 million, which was a record then. Tuesday, tomorrow, is the last day to register to vote at county clerk's offices across Illinois for the March 17th primary. If you register online with the State Board of Elections, you have until March 1st. St. Clair County Clerk Tom Holbrook told the Spotlight on St. Clair County podcast he's looking forward to seeing a decent early voting turnout like in past elections.
We vote about 25,000, 30,000 people there at our early voting sites, and it's very, very quick. Very seldom do you have to wait at our early voting sites. If you wait to the last day or two, you might end up with a 15, 20-minute wait.
Holbrook says early voting has begun at his office in Belleville during weekday business hours. Permanent polling sites begin their 7-day-a-week early vote availability on March 2nd. From the KMOX business desk, Laumeier Sculpture Park celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. Executive Director Lauren Ross says it all started after Henry Laumeier died and wife Matilda began wondering what would become of their 60-acre property.
It was through meeting someone at the St. Louis County Parks and Recreation Department that they started having conversations, and he planted the seed of the idea of, why don't you leave your property to the Parks Department to be turned into a park for the enjoyment of all St. Louisans?
Then St. Louis's Ernest Trova donated more than 40 of his sculptures to the park, so it became a sculpture park. Since then, they've worked with more than 1,000 artists, and on any given day, you can see about 70 sculptures.
Sunshine mixing with clouds this afternoon. It'll become very mild for this time of the year. The high 69. Partly cloudy tonight, though 45. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy, but breezy and balmy in the afternoon, high 65. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is mostly sunny, 53 degrees now in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Chris and Amy now. The Dave Glover Show at 1 on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Chris and Amy on KMOX. It is hour 3 of 3, and we always, at this time, 11 o'clock on Mondays, we talk to our guy, the White House correspondent for The Bulwark, and the co-author of the Morning Shots newsletter, which you should subscribe to. Andrew Egger is with us on KMOX. Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Hey, guys. I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we are glad to have you here. So we sit here on this President's Day, and this is the day that we all just get together and celebrate the presidents. We've had a round table. We have been praising all presidents, past and present. That's all we've done all day. Isn't this the kind of thing that you do as the White House correspondent? You just reflect positively on all the presidents that we've ever had.
Well, that's what you need to do. You know, you've got your short presidents and your tall presidents, your big presidents and your small presidents. Every president is special in his own way. And it's important. It's important to have a day every year to remember that, and just really bask in the glories of the system we've got going on here.
Thank you.
Well, we were reflecting on the tall presidents, George Washington, but looking at the executive branch and the office, and I will say, I've been on something of a nostalgic kick. I think it's the algorithm I have on Instagram that's been showing me a lot of clips from George W. Bush, Barack Obama, George H.W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, and times have changed.
That's true. Yeah. There's no getting around that. You got to be careful about that nostalgia, though. You never know. Who knows what new glories will have unearthed 20 years from now. You might have the same sorts of fuzzy feelings about this exact moment. So maybe not. Maybe we'll be able to all look back and be like, oh, that was kind of a weird thing that we all had going on back then. But you never know. Nostalgia does interesting things.
It does. And in all seriousness, politics has always been somewhat ugly and murky and not pretty. We know that we're definitely not lifting anyone up as saints. But at any rate, Andrew, in Washington, D.C. right now, what are you working on?
Yeah, the main thing, the main thing we all had our eyes on, over the weekend, I'd say going into this week, we'll be back looking at, the partial government shutdown, the fight in the Senate over funding for the Department of Homeland Security. We can talk a little bit more about that if you like. Over the weekend, the kind of thing everybody had their eyes on was the Munich Security Conference, which took place over in Germany. A couple different members of the Trump admin spoke over there, most notably Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He came 1 year after the vice president spoke there last year. J.D. Vance spoke. Obviously, that was just a few weeks into Trump 2.0. And Vance, when he spoke, he really kind of threw down a gauntlet in Europe, kind of setting the tone for the sort of hostile, combative way that this White House would be approaching our European allies all through that first year. It was kind of interesting to see Marco Rubio speak on Saturday. He took a more sort of conciliatory line than than J.D. Vance had taken a year before. He was, instead of kind of like castigating Europe for like all of the sort of failings of liberalism, as Vance kind of put it a year prior, Rubio basically said, look, the U.S. and Europe have kind of fallen off the wagon in some of the same ways in recent years. We both kind of let ourselves get lulled into this idea that we were now living through the end of history, that the triumph of liberal democracy around the world was inevitable and basically just a thing that was going to sort of occur. We weren't even going to have to work very hard for it. We were all going to be kind of these cosmopolitan global citizens. And now we're encountering, Rubio said, basically this whole new suite of challenges, some of which have stemmed from sort of our just sort of blinkered state in that way. There's kind of an interesting take. At the same time, a lot more sort of pro-European than Vance had been a year prior. Basically said, you know, the U.S. And Europe go way back. We're going to go way forward. Our destiny is tied up with your destiny. Very much more the you kind of catch more flies with honey approach. At the same time, you got a lot of other speeches at that conference that were plainly sort of Europe living in this new world of sort of 1 year of sort of pretty remarkable and unprecedented hostility toward our European allies from the White House, notwithstanding Marco Rubio's speech. You got, for instance, the Chancellor of Germany standing up and basically making a speech saying the old rules-led international order is basically dead and in the ground. Stick a fork in it. We need to figure out something new. The era of sort of 50 years of pretty much unchallenged U.S.-led global hegemony that all the liberal democracies were cool with because we were all kind of pulling the same way, rowing the same direction. That's basically over. We need to figure out new paths forward. So we're in this very strange international moment with all of that. So that's a very long answer to your question of what we were focused on this weekend.
So because, and you did write about this today, that essentially we are in a spot where European countries, those that were allies of ours for decades, now feel like they just can't trust us to put people in place who are like-minded, who have the same sort, pulling on the same rope in the same direction kind of thing. How long will it take to repair that, where that trust is regained, or is it maybe never going to be regained?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to answer that question. The one thing to keep in mind is that Europe, a world in which the United States is not standing for, liberal democracy and international institutions and all these sorts of things, is just going to be a worse world for everybody. So everybody wants to see us get back to a place where, internationalism, multilateralism, all of these things are like things the U.S. champions, and we like having, global trade, and we like having our alliances abroad, and we like, presenting a united front against autocracies. If the U.S. were to get back to doing that, everybody would breathe a sigh of relief because that's a better world for them. It's not like they're going to turn their nose up at us if we decide to do that at some point. The other side of the coin is you can't kind of unring the bell of Europeans realizing that perhaps America is going to do this sort of thing from time to time, right? Where they're going to kind of get up on the world stage and just start throwing tariffs around and start cozying up to despotic regimes while, thumbing our nose at allies and threatening to take sovereign territory away. Even if America stops doing all of those things, we're never going to get back to the place where, Europe and our other allies would just think it's preposterous and laughable that America would ever do those things. In a world in which Europe and Canada and Mexico and the Indo-Pacific countries and all of these, former, still allies, but these former really Loctite allies, a world in which they have to contemplate the possibility that they cannot rely on America for these sorts of just real hand-in-glove operations is a world where they're less likely to go along with our, geostrategic initiatives and less likely to let us take sort of the unquestioned lead when it comes to, interacting with the unfree parts of the world and these sorts of things. So those are the kind of two poles of it. It's not like it's over. It's not like, we're not going to be friends with Europe. It's not like we're not going to be friends with Canada, and especially if we, start to treat them like friends and allies again. But like I said, you can't really unring the bell of having done all of these sorts of things that America really had not done in the post-World War II era, and that previously seemed, like I said, kind of preposterous and unthinkable to these countries.
Yeah, and I know you touched on this about Marco Rubio's speech at the Munich Security Conference and how it was a little bit different, or a lot a bit different than JD Vance's, which was more aggressive. And this was kind of highlighting our friendship over the years, our shared roots in Western civilization, how that ties America and Europe together. Was this approach at all surprising to the administration and GOP at large? And how was it received by the GOP and administration at large?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say surprising. This is kind of one of the big unresolved questions of the future of the Republican Party, right? I mean, Donald Trump right now, he runs the show. It's nobody is challenging him in the short term for control of his foreign policy. But his foreign policy has also always been very kind of ad hoc and protean, and I mean, like, he goes with his gut a lot, and he does not, and he has some sort of like neocon-ish, like peace through strength, keep them in line by putting the fear of God into them, of the U.S. Army, some of those kinds of instincts. And he has certain instincts that are more isolationist, certain like, a contempt for, boots on the ground intervention, a contempt for the idea of forever war, a sort of contempt for the idea that this like rules-based international order might need to be upheld through military might, as we've seen, with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, things like that. So because Trump himself is kind of a mix of these signals, there's a lot of attention being paid to what comes after him. And I think that you can say that like the two sort of mascots or figureheads or the potential like next leaders for these two wings of the party are, on the one side, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, who's more kind of internationalist, more kind of classically neoconservative in these ways. And on the other side, you have JD Vance, who's more of a paleocon, who's more isolationist, less interested in getting involved overseas, period. And so that's going to be interesting. Like, nobody really knows what to expect, because both of those guys are really liked and well respected in Republican circles. And it's like, once Trump goes off the stage, then it might be knives out for each other. And then we'll learn a lot about what the Republican base thinks about these things.
Andrew Egger is the White House correspondent for The Bulwark with us on KMOX. Andrew, what is the likelihood of the SAVE Act, which has already passed the House? What is the likelihood of that actually getting through the Senate?
It's a great question. I think that right now it's looking slim, right? The Democrats are pretty much united against this particular package. It's pretty standard Democratic stuff. They just don't want to see additional voter ID requirements put in place federally. There's also a pretty good argument to be made. This is a particularly stringent one, since it requires not just a driver's license or something like that, but actually proof of a birth certificate to vote, which is a little more onerous. Not everybody knows right where that is or has it on hand, these sorts of things. This is part of the reason why we have already seen Donald Trump start to suggest that he may try some kind of end around play to implement some form of national voter ID through executive order. He's announced that he may try to do this. Obviously, that would be very controversial. It would get into a lot of legal challenges right away. I think those legal challenges would be likely to succeed, but because we don't really know exactly what it is that he's trying to do or how far he's trying to go, if he were to opt for that, we're also kind of waiting to see. But I think it seems very unlikely at this point that this thing is going to become law, unless it were part of some sort of grand compromise bargain of the sort that you don't really see coming out of this Congress very often anymore.
Could we see at some point? And I guess yes, of course we could. But how likely is it that we do see a national law passed where voter ID is a must in every state?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these weird issues where, like, you could imagine a world where this happens. Voter ID is very popular, just as a general policy matter. 80% of people, something like that, will say when they're polled, yeah, we think you should have to flash an ID when you go to vote. That said, there are a lot of popular things that get kind of strung up in one way or another in the kind of gridlock that we see in Congress right now. Democrats, I mean, some people have argued for a long time that Democrats sort of need to get over this voter ID fixation, this sort of antipathy toward this thing. I'm very sympathetic to that argument myself. I think that you could see a world in which Democrats not only realize that this is a very popular thing, but that it doesn't even really like harm them electorally in the way that it used to. Now that Democrats are the ones with the more kind of like engaged base, and Republicans are the ones who rely more on low propensity voters. It seems like, the real politic of this stuff is stuck, 15 years ago or something like that. But I think the bigger problem is just policy doesn't really happen in Congress anymore, right? I mean, everybody is so dug in on their side. Everybody's so entrenched in their own position that even if you were to get like a perfectly reasonable sort of bill that in theory should be able to thread the needle and make everybody happy, and that again would have sort of mass popular support. Not saying the SAVE Act is that bill, but in theory you could have that bill, and things like that are still dying, in the House and in the Senate left and right these days. So it could happen, but I'm not holding my breath.
Andrew Egger, as we say goodbye, you do know who Bob Gibson is, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. See.
Yeah.
Oh, how old are you?
Hold up. What's going on here? I'm 30.
Well, 30. See, this is Amy.
Yeah. So I was running with someone yesterday who's 32 years old. She grew up in St. Louis, lives here. And we ran through the Grove where it's Bob Gibson Avenue on the street sign. And she said, "Who's Bob Gibson?" And
that's unacceptable,
so
right?
we pushed her off the bridge.
Yeah, but
no,
that's a little. Look,
yeah.
I'm not putting myself out there as some savant of Cardinals lore or anything like that. But yes, I do know Bob Gibson.
See, there you go. Okay.
We just said you should know. Yeah, not you, the royal you.
Yeah.
People in St. Louis should know. So anyway, I just think we're getting to that age where if you are younger and you grew up with phones, you have an ability to isolate yourself and live in a bubble and protected from anything that went before you. And I'm starting to get nervous that people are going to grow up and not know who Bob Gibson and Ozzie Smith are.
Yeah, people should collect baseball cards. I don't know. That's that's probably why I know. I guess I don't know for sure, but yeah, as a kid, baseball cards, that was a big thing. So yeah, Bob Gibson, good guy.
Andrew, thank you. We'll talk next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Andrew Egger, White House correspondent.
And let me just say,
the Bulwark, and you should sign up for the Morning Shots newsletter.
We didn't throw anyone off a bridge, and Ron had suggested that, assuming they could swim back to shore.
Well, I don't care if it's
Ron,
if they
careful.
swim. I'm saying if they swim back to shore, they can stay. That's it.
Okay.
This texter says, Chris, I am a big Bob Gibson fan, but if someone else lives an entire lifetime and never knows who he is, it will not make one bit of difference to the quality of their life. That's not true. That is astounding on your part. That's Bob who texted that in. Bob, you need to rethink it. And yes, it is a failure on the part of any parent who does not teach their child who Bob Gibson is. If you grew up in St. Louis, unacceptable. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
This is Harry Carey from the beautiful new Busch Memorial Stadium.
From moment to memory.
The chase is on.
Among those voices, Bruce Bradley.
I felt better when Jimmy Carter was president, knowing that Rosalind Carter was around saying, "Now, Jimmy."
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
When you've been injured in an accident, hurt on the job, or in a medical mishap, there are many reasons to call Morgan & Morgan. But here's reason number 5. We try more cases than anyone in America by a wide margin. We are on approximately 150 dockets a week and win a lot. Go to forthepeople.com to see our verdicts and results. I believe our results give you the best chance of a fair, fast, and just settlement. Insurance companies know who we are by reputation. Imagine me doing this ad if it wasn't true. They would be laughing. Trust me, nobody is laughing. Their employees and adjusters often hire us when they're hurt. They know, and now you know. All law firms are not alike, not even close. With over $30 billion collected for our clients, we became America's largest injury firm for a reason. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
Proudly serving St. Louis for over 100 years. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Chris and Amy on KMOX Gas House Gang at 12. It will be Tom Ackerman and me. We'll check in to spring training with Matt Pauley, who's there in Florida. We've got Amy, who will talk some Olympic hockey with us. And we've got Bob Ramsey, who is calling the game tomorrow between the Billikens and Rhode Island. The Billikens are 24-1. Men's basketball just, man, they keep doing it. They're looking really, really good.
It's fun. It's really fun. It's fun to win. The Billikens are really
best team in town.
They are really lifting us up right now.
Best team in town.
And it's yes. And I know this is something we've said over and over, but not only is it fun to win and watch them play, but just the team itself, like Robbie Avila and Coach Josh Schertz, they're fun. They're likable. I love it. I love every aspect of it. Huge left turn here, but it was released over the past couple of days, really over the weekend, that you remember Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who was speaking out against the autocrat Vladimir Putin and how they are just crushing democracy and freedom over in Russia. Well, 5 European countries confirmed that the Kremlin poisoned Alexei Navalny with a rare and lethal toxin found in the skin of poison dart frogs. So it was the Foreign Ministry of the UK, France, Germany, Sweden, and the Netherlands said that an analysis in European labs of samples taken from Navalny's body conclusively confirmed the presence of that poison that is pulled from the skin of dart frogs. They also said Russia had the means, motive, and opportunity to administer the poison, which I think nobody doubted that Russia killed Navalny.
Of
but
course.
I mean, there's
Of course.
That's how they did it.
So this is not the kind of guy that we should be cozying up to, this Vladimir Putin fella, would you say?
He is an evil,
He's a real piece of work.
evil man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coward, an evil coward. I don't like even calling him a man, you know? He's an evil coward.
Yeah, do it yourself, man. If you're going to poison somebody, do it yourself.
And also, I mean, Putin is the guy who believes the greatest travesty to ever befall the world is the fall of the Soviet Union.
I would disagree on that.
Yeah. Probably millions of people who died would disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever want to really learn what Putin stands for, read about the tactics, the Soviet tactics. These were not flaws of Soviet tactics. They were the features of the Soviet tactics, like mass rape. I think it was in Hungary. They had to, for 2 years, had to determine all babies born were considered basically orphans of such because the something like 60-70% of the female population had been raped by Soviet troops. I mean, it was awful, horrific war crimes. Stealing kids and brainwashing them and telling them that their parents were cowards and traitors and brainwashing them into Soviet propaganda. So this is the type of thing, the KGBs, the trials where they would torture people into false confessions in front of their families. And this is what's going on
now with Ukraine. Yep. He is doing the exact same.
Yeah.
That's the world he lived in.
Yes.
And he basically grew up in, and that's exactly what he's doing with Ukraine. This is not a good person.
Yeah.
He's one of the worst people, honestly, on the planet. And I don't even think it's not even debatable.
Yeah.
So Amy Marks, Kors, and I will continue with you until 12 o'clock. Told you the Gas House Gang is coming up. And we have been, I think, gosh, how often do we talk about downtown and needing to improve downtown St. Louis? Well, there are all sorts of proposals and ideas to move St. Louis forward. And one of them is a Republican proposal from State Representative Brad Christ, who has an idea to create innovation zones in downtown St. Louis to hopefully spur some sort of development and have people and businesses move into the area. We're going to talk about that with Ryan Kroll from St. Louis Magazine, who wrote the story. That is next on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Hey guys, it's Dave from The Glover Show, trying to explain The Glover Show. So when I was a younger man, I used to go to happy hour almost every night, and I loved it. And I've always thought of my show as being like happy hour. It's always interesting. It's often silly, but not always. There are real things to talk about amongst friends, politics, and personal things. So that's what it is, really. It's happy hour for thousands of us every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. And I hope you'll tune in and join the happy hour.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Currently, it is beautiful outside Studio B. Looking out the window here, 58 degrees. The high today, 68. It's going to be sunny, gorgeous. A low tonight of 43.
Menards 11% rebate is here. From lighting to lumber, from doors to floors. The bigger the project, the bigger the rebate. From painting projects to that new kitchen makeover and designing that outdoor space of your dreams. Save big on any project you're tackling. Hurry into Menards for an 11% rebate on everything. Mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check, not a point-of-sale discount. Redeemable on future in-store purchases only. Not on future purchases on Menards.com. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Barnes Jewish Hospital and WashU Medicine physicians have long been leaders in heart and vascular care. Now, we're taking the patient experience to another level by opening our new state-of-the-art patient tower, designed specifically with heart patients in mind. By combining the latest technology with thoughtful design in private rooms, heart patients can experience faster healing, reduced stress, and improved outcomes. Learn more at barnesjewish.org/heart.
Hi, Margaret with Eamon Gantner and Capriano. We all procrastinate. We put things off, confident we'll have time later. Well, one who procrastinates in choosing will inevitably have their choices made for them by circumstance. Could be an illness or even a death. And it happened to me. I was widowed at 41. It could happen to you. If you procrastinate and fail to plan for your future, for your children, circumstances and the courts will make your plans for you without your input. Eamon Gantner and Capriano help thousands of families plan for their future now. We can be your personal attorney too, guiding you with a will, trust, powers of attorney, Medicaid, and VA. You may delay, but time does not. Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com.
The choice of an attorney is an important decision and shouldn't be based solely on advertising.
Dreaming of college but worried about the cost? The Together Foundation is here to help.
The Together Foundation is awarding 5 $1,500 scholarships to St. Louis area students who are ready to take the next step toward their future. Applying is simple, but time is limited, as applications will be accepted through March 31st. Learn more or apply at togethercu.org/scholarship. That's togethercu.org/scholarship. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
When it comes to lighting, Graybar goes beyond parts and products. We help contractors turn plans into smart designs, manage kitting and deliverables, and navigate local codes so you can stay on time and on budget. Smart, scalable, job site ready. That's not just lighting. That's like kicking your project into Graybar mode. Yep, Graybar does that.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623.
Rush Hour Sports, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here.
Bernie Miklasz joins Rush Hour Sports tonight at 5 on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Let's make downtown great again. We are trying very, very hard. Well, we're just talking about it. It's not like we're actually
you're not doing anything.
Yeah, you haven't done a damn thing either, have we? No, we're giving it lip service.
We
Does
got
that
rid
count?
of that abandoned car.
We did.
Our action did. At any rate.
So we know there's the proposal for the downtown sports and entertainment community improvement district. That is a thing that is moving forward in St. Louis. And now here's a new one. Republican from the city, Brad Christ, has made a proposal for what is being called the innovation zones, which will hopefully spur some development and, some people, businesses, entities moving into St. Louis. St. Louis Magazine's Ryan Kroll wrote the story on it, and Ryan joins us now on KMOX. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing great. And hey, if we're going to fix downtown, we're going to do it one abandoned car at a time, right? So I'm with you guys.
Let me tell you, that was our biggest achievement.
It was an abandoned car outside of our building for months.
In front of a coffee shop.
In front of a coffee shop. So Ranj and I started decorating it and talking about it every day until the city towed it. And by golly, it was like 2 days later after we decorated. I was sad too.
Yeah.
We had Christmas lights on it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, I love the initiative, and that is a kind of nuisance that we needed to be better about nipping in the bud for sure.
So tell us about these innovation zones and how we can ask you about the entertainment district, all that too, because it all kind of seems pretty similar, at least on the surface. But what is Brad Christ? What is his proposal here?
Sure. So these would be innovation zones that any downtown across Missouri can opt in to become one. And it's really potentially beneficial for downtown St. Louis because it includes incentives to convert empty office space into residential buildings, turning those old office towers that are 1/3 empty in the city of St. Louis. Those could become like apartments, condos, that kind of thing. It's very expensive to do that. But this would allow developers to basically take 25% of those construction costs and get that money back as tax credits. So I wouldn't necessarily say this is like a silver bullet, but it could be one sort of really big tool in the toolkit in terms of getting downtown a little more lively, a little more populated.
It's interesting because, as Ranj pointed out, State Rep Brad Christ, he's a Republican from St. Louis County, has this proposal for the city to make these innovation zones. And if you can get Alderwoman Megan Green to say, hey, we're going to look into this. This might be a good thing. That is probably about as much as reaching across the aisle or having two very ideologically different people agreeing on a way to make St. Louis better. That's kind of unusual.
I couldn't agree more. And then on top of that, Brad Christ, he was the architect of the state takeover of the city police force, which is super unpopular with like Megan Green and, Mayor Kara Spencer. Just city officials really, disdain that bill that he got through before. So the fact that they're open to this piece of legislation, that's what really got my attention, just like you said. And I also think that there's a little bit of a case where, this like state senator, Carla May or state senator Steve Roberts, both Democrats who represent St. Louis City. I think if they were to propose something like this in the overwhelmingly Republican Jefferson City, I think it would kind of be dead on arrival. The fact that it is a Republican who's pushing this, and in theory, any downtown across the whole state could opt in. I think that gives us a real shot to get it through the legislature, because it's not, the language of the bill isn't tailored to St. Louis specifically. Anywhere could opt in to become one of these things. I just think St. Louis is particularly, perched in a good position to benefit from it.
Why do you suppose he is interested in this?
Yeah, well, he held a press conference on Friday where he talked about it, and he said that he really believes that the urban cores of Missouri, St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, and Springfield are the real drivers of the Missouri economy and our GDP. And he said that basically 30 years ago, Missouri represented 2% of the whole country's GDP. Right now, that's down to 1.5%. He said, that might not seem like a whole lot, but that's actually like billions and billions of dollars that we're missing out on. So he wants to kind of enable these urban cores to cut some of the red tape, get some tax incentives, and then just kind of unleash their potential is how he phrased it last Friday.
And again, when you're looking at some of the aspects of this proposal to make innovation zones, that not only would it give development incentives and tax breaks, but it would also require the people the builders from benefiting from this to fast track their development, to say, hey, let's build up St. Louis, let's do it quickly.
Exactly. So I think it's if a developer applies for a permit, the bill requires the city to either approve or decline that permit within 45 days, which is pretty fast compared to, I don't know how long it is on average right now, but it's definitely longer than 45 days. So yeah, it's basically just trying to kind of cut out red tape and that sort of thing, in addition to giving some financial incentives for the development. And the other thing that I think is really interesting too is that it gives state income tax or state tax breaks to these businesses. Basically, they can deduct up to 1/3% of their up to 3% of their payroll in taxes, and then redirect that money back into downtown, into things like sidewalks, lighting, security, greenery, beautification, that kind of thing. So basically, it would take money that would otherwise go to Jefferson City and keep it in downtown to make downtown, more beautiful, more safe. And that really, I think that's great. I think I'm all about sort of, local control. I feel like folks know how to spend their tax dollars, in their own backyard better than anyone. So I really love that it redirects money to sort of stay here locally as well.
I know some of the pushback in the past on tax incentives for downtown development is, for the people who have opposed those sorts of breaks, is that, well, these companies need to be putting money back into the city at some point. They can't just have property for free or be there tax free forever. That can't be allowed. So would this be the sort of thing where if a new developer, a new entity comes in, they would get the breaks, but after a period of time, those breaks would sunset?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So no, most of these continue indefinitely, which is unusual. Yeah, because most tax abatements, particularly at the city level, do have like a 10-year, 25-year sunset, that sort of thing. But for most of the breaks and benefits in this bill, they are indefinite. I guess the one sort of the key difference is that a lot of that money, does stay local, kind of just in a different way. And the other thing is, for some of these benefits, some of these sort of carrots that are being offered, they would actually only apply to people and businesses that relocate into an innovation zone. So it's trying to kind of incentivize more people to get into areas like downtown St. Louis, potentially like a Clayton downtown could even, get in on this as well. So there is kind of a lot of times those tax abatements draw the most scrutiny whenever there's like an operating business that's already, in a location, doing well, that just wants to pay lower taxes. Here, the situation would be a little bit different, where you would be getting this new sort of net inflow of people in business, and then they would be they'd be positioned to kind of reap the most breaks and benefits.
Yeah, in your piece, you note that the bill does incentivize people to move from out of state by waiving their state income tax, and definitely if they move into an innovation zone. Do you mean, I feel like this is such a stupid question, like just like people, like anybody, if you're moving into where those apartments are built, or is it like, no, you have to be a business or self-employed?
Yeah, no, not a dumb question at all. That really, I did a double take whenever I heard that as well. So basically, caveat that if this becomes law and if like downtown St. Louis opts in to become an innovation zone, those two things, if those two ifs become reality, then yes, 100%. If you move from, doesn't matter if you're coming from Illinois or Indonesia, right? If you move from out of Missouri into downtown St. Louis, you would not have to pay state income tax indefinitely, which is, that's getting some pushback for two reasons. One is because the idea that, you probably have kind of more affluent people being able to avail themselves of this, and that would just sort of leave less money for like, welfare programs and other sort of money that kind of gets dispersed to everyone. Sort of whenever you get rid of income tax anywhere, it's generally seen as kind of a regressive, where it puts the most sort of onus on people lower on the income ladder. So that idea is getting pushback for that reason. But also the bigger reason I think it's getting pushback is because Governor Mike Kehoe has made it his priority to get rid of income tax in general in the state. So if you're kind of giving people offering them the benefit of not paying income tax if they move here, but the income taxes may be about to go away for everyone, how much of a benefit is that really? So there's it's a 35-page bill. It's very dense. There's a lot of nuance here for sure.
Also, Ryan, as I mentioned right off the top here, there's that downtown sports and entertainment community improvement district, which I know you have. I think we're all kind of aware of it now. This has been out there for some time, and I don't want to say it's similar, but it is all with the same effort, the same end goal of getting people to come downtown, getting businesses to move downtown. So this is going to move forward. What exactly does that mean, and what sort of timetable are we looking at on it?
On the SID in particular, yeah. So that was just introduced on Friday at the Board of Aldermen, and basically, yeah, it is trying to kind of it's more of like a business focused thing, which obviously the Chris proposal has a lot of stuff for businesses as well, but it is also a little bit more specific. It's just the kind of specific slice of downtown would qualify. And I do know it also, there's even like a third effort that's been happening too, that would basically also target downtown. And the idea is that if you wanted to have like a concert or host like a sporting event downtown, it would basically provide a kind of a pot of money that would ensure that you didn't just go broke on it. It would be sort of like an insurance pot of money that people who wanted to, like the Frozen Four, that sort of thing, whenever the college hockey playoffs came here, would basically, whenever St. Louis was trying to lure big events downtown, they could be able to just sort of say, if things totally go south, if this doesn't work out at all, we can kind of have some money to at least make sure you break even, that you remain whole should the worst happen. And that is sort of also a big, driver, or hopefully what people want to be driver of kind of revitalizing downtown. So you're right. There are a lot of these sort of overlapping efforts that focus on downtown. I think when people say downtown, sometimes they're speaking a little bit generally, where one is sort of focused more like on Union Station. The SID that you mentioned is sort of this more specific slice of downtown. The Chris proposal would be all of downtown, as well as downtown west, where the soccer stadium is. So yeah, there's a lot of overlap, but they all each have their differentiators as well.
Ryan, before we let you go, quick question on a story that you had from last month about MoDOT talking about eliminating the 64 Compton interchange.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any update on that? Because I know a lot of businesses were pushing back thinking, oh my gosh, we do not need to make the grand exit any more crowded than it already is.
Yeah, so MoDOT they say we hear you is basically their response. They are taking those business owners' concerns. They're legitimate. They're saying that is a legitimate thing to be concerned about. I have just sort of heard out in the ether, there could be a situation where right now that exit that MoDOT wants to get rid of, it's an exit both for east and west, Highway 40, Highway 6440. There could be a situation where the ability to like leave Chaffetz and go west remains in place, but the ability, if you're coming, from the county into the city, to get off there, like that exit is removed, kind of a compromise to remove part of the exit, but keep the other part. So yeah, there's going to be an open house. I want to say it's next month in March at the City Foundry, where I think we're going to get an update. And I know this one sort of flew under the radar until just a few weeks ago. So I'm going to be very curious what the attendance is like there, what MoDOT says, but I think they're going to unveil some tweaks to their plans then, or they're going to reveal that, hey, we haven't made any tweaks and we're staying the course. I'm very curious to see what happens there.
Ryan Krull, reporter and journalist with STL Magazine. As always, we appreciate your time. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, Chris, Amy, great talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Ryan Krull joining us on the show. That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. Amy's going to stick around. Well, she's going to come back at 12:15 on the Gas House Gang. We'll talk Olympic hockey with her. Prior to that, we'll have Matt Pauley checking in from Cardinals spring training. And Bob Ramsey will talk Billikens basketball with us. The Billikens 24-1. And we are expecting the AP poll, the new one, to come out. We'll see if the Billikens move up in the rankings. That's all happening. The Gas House Gang at 12 o'clock on KMOX.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Is your furnace on its last legs? Don't wait for a cold night to find out. Jerry Kelly and KMOX are giving you the chance to win a brand new furnace this winter season. Just go online to KMOX.com/contest through March 1st and nominate someone who you think deserves a brand new furnace. Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Win a brand new furnace. For more information and contest rules, just head to KMOX.com/contest.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Looking for a career change? Well, the Gelman team with eXp Realty is hiring. Their unmatched blueprint to success, real support, and proven systems help agents take their business to the next level. Level up your future and earning potential. Take the first step at thegelmanteam.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/life. That's ethos.com/life. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I think right now we all need something to look forward to, and a nice little getaway is going to do it for me. So I've been looking at this 5-day Arizona trip that I planned in September, and to me, it sounds absolutely perfect, and I would love for you to join me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in Flagstaff because that means cooler temperatures. It's a great home base, and from there, we're going to visit Sedona, the Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell all in one trip. I'm talking about red rocks, big views, and that deep blue water at Lake Powell that looks like a postcard. I'm told September is one of the best times to go with fewer crowds, more comfortable weather, and everything's going to be planned out for us. We just show up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, please join me because I have always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. Travelwithdebbie.net. That's travelwithdebbie.net or call Cruise and Tour at 800-383-3131. Space is limited, so don't delay. 800-383-3131. Travelwithdebbie.net.
The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Chris, are you ready for this segment?
I don't know now.
Ranj.
Because the way you said it.
Now you feel nervous?
A little.
A little put on the spot?
Yeah.
Basically, Ranj was complaining about our weather.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, says it's the worst.
It is.
And I said it gets you ready for anything and everything because you 100 degrees in humid Amazonian jungle, been there. -10 degrees, ready for the Arctic, done it. With a whole, you could get all of the world's climate in 1 week in the city of St. Louis. You're ready to go. 60-degree drop from 71 on the day after Christmas down to 20 degrees.
Yeah.
Ready. I'm ready. Let's go. That's how it makes you.
I don't need all that. I just don't look. Here's how it started. Amy said she would not like the Arizona weather.
I said Arizona's a little hot and dry for me.
Yeah. Which
makes me feel like I'm shriveling up.
I said I would take 110 and dry over 98 and 80% humidity, which is what we get here. The humidity is the worst. It is
point.
Oh my God.
The dew point. We had
worst.
The worst humidity / dew point summer on record because I knew, you know what? I've spent a lot of time outside and I can handle the heat. And this summer, there were days where the thought of going outside made me want to throw up. But I've never had that before.
Terrible.
And it was the most humid summer on record. So not the hottest as far as actual temperature. But the dew point, we had a dew point of 80.
That's disgusting.
Multiple times.
It's disgusting. You might as well be in the pool. We were talking about Bob Gibson and the 32-year-old woman that did not know who Bob Gibson was. And she was born here, raised here, from here, never left, I'm assuming. And she did not know who Bob Gibson was. This texter says, my wife is 51 and does not care about baseball at all and does not know who Bob Gibson is. She has lived in St. Louis all her life. I asked her who Ozzie Smith is. Her answer was, are they a singer or sports person?
No. Maybe she lived under a rock. Maybe somebody's got to live under a rock.
You don't have to be a sports person to know who certain people are. You should know who Stan is. You should know Bob. You should know Lou. And in fact, all I should have to do is say the first names and you should know who they are. Stan, Lou, Bob. Well, there could be a million Bobs. And Ozzy. You should know exactly who those people are.
I don't know what to do.
And I don't care what your
myself
age
now.
is. I don't care if you're 15. You should know who those people are. And if you don't know, your parents failed you.
Oh my gosh.
John
Don't incriminate them.
John is watching on Facebook and says, in my opinion, not knowing about Bob Gibson is less a parenting failure then it is an example of the breathtaking lack of awareness of the world writ large that afflicts contemporary Americans regardless of age.
Wow.
Also, John, nailed it.
Wow.
Nailed it. Have a great rest of your Monday, President's Day. Get out there and celebrate. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock, and anything you missed will be right there on the Odyssey app for you or iHeart app or wherever you get your podcast. Gas House Gang is next on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Money, sponsored by Ethos.
Your kids can learn many